Start recording. It's now been recorded.
Let's
All right,
go.
people, let's jump into it. Okay, so thanks very much. I've got your names, I've got all your sheets in front of me. If I need to look up spells and stuff, that's nice and easy. I can do that. I've got all the stuff. So let's crack on. So guys, when I play D&D, I'll quite often talk about the camera, which is a bit of a weird thing because I know D&D is obviously fantasy, but I often think of D&D because it's quite movie-like, right? So sometimes I will refer to the camera. The camera moves and looks at this, or we see this from this point of view. So don't let that throw you.
Okay.
But as our scene opens and our game begins, the camera is black. It is a black screen, but we can hear the sounds of village folk going about their business. There is the snuffling of pigs. There's dogs barking in the distance. There is the sound of feet kind of traipsing through wet mud. And above all this, we hear the voice of some sort of town crier shouting out very loudly to all the town inhabitants. And he says, "Hear ye, all who seek fortune in our lands. Our noble lord Marlin White Sparrow calls for a tournament of combat among our fine adventurers. The winner will receive a grand banquet in their honour and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for fame, glory, and wealth. On one side, we have the Brown Mead Adventuring Company. Who will challenge them in combat for this fine prize?" And then the camera comes up and it is hovering above said village, or in fact, it's a town. About 500 houses, this town. It is winter. The streets are cold. There is snow falling. There is what looks like an old keep or small castle up on the hill looking down on this town. But the town looks fairly prosperous. There are lots of fields, or nothing growing in winter, but lots of fields around the outside. The houses are kind of stout, made of stone and wood. This is not a village or town that is in desperate need of wealth. They seem to be quite happy. And the camera starts to move through, whiz through the streets, heading out into the fields, where we find ourselves looking at a sort of makeshift battle arena. There are hay bales, there are benches around this arena, and there are a number of figures inside fighting. Now, it looks like this battle has been going on for some time, because there are a number of injured and very unhappy looking thugs and guards and fighters kind of sitting on the benches around. It looks like they're out, you know. There's no dead bodies around. This is not a fight to the death, it looks like. But, you know, there are at least 10 or 12 people on the outside. Inside, there are 4 people obviously fighting in this contest for themselves. And there are 4 others who are obviously a member of this Brown Mead Adventuring Company, because they all wear that kind of tankard symbol on their chest. They seem to be fighting together. So our first fighter, or the first person who is we notice, is a little halfling who is scurrying around, fighting one of these adventuring company. Now, the adventuring company person this halfling is fighting is a lady. She is female. She is quite stockily built, and she has a mace in her hand that she's swinging at this halfling. But the halfling can very easily dodge underneath, because it's only 3 foot high anyway, or whatever it is. But this is Fenrir. So Fen, I would just like you to just describe what we as the viewers would see when we look at your character right now. Appearance, anything noticeable about Fenrir?
All right, appearance. I'm in the fight right now, right?
Yeah, you are in the fight, and to just be clear, you guys have, you've been in the fight for, let's say, half an hour. It's coming to the end. You guys are all pretty exhausted.
All right. I'd say I'm wearing, for the most part, fine clothing. It's a little bit tattered and torn. Due to my height, I'm pretty covered in the mud, but exhausted. I have a slight beard, but for the most part, looks like I keep up with myself most of the time. Weapons are smaller versions of normal people weapons, so it kind of looks like toys, but not really hindering me in combat, as I'm clearly using it to avoid most attacks, and most of my attacks do involve just tiring out my opponent. So I am also, from the length of the fight, getting pretty tired and worn out, but
Perfect. Perfect.
mildly out of place.
Okay, thank you, Fenrir. So Fenrir, at this moment in time, um, as you are dodging and weaving, you have an opening. You have an opening to get in the final blow because you think this woman, she's taken some cuts and gashes. She's kind of hobbling. She's looking pretty exhausted. You know, you think one hit and she's going to be unconscious or at least out of the fight. So you have a chance, Fenrir, to kind of end this particular confrontation. So Fenrir, I would like you to roll an attack, please. We're not officially in combat. We're not going for the combat rules and initiative and stuff. This is more of a kind of introductory scene. But so if you could roll an attack against this woman, please.
Just D20 then,
So
or
this is a D20, and then you will be plussing your weapon to hit modifier, which
okay,
I'm just, if you can see, I'm just bringing up your sheet here as well, just so I can see too. Rogue. Right, so what have we got? Short sword, short bow, or dagger. So firstly, yeah, are you going in? Are you going in with a dagger or a short sword, or are you taking a bit of a distant approach and shooting your bow at this woman?
I would be taking a dagger, I'd say.
Dagger. No worries. Okay, so roll your d20, and then you are adding a +5 to it to hit.
All right, I rolled a 10, so 15.
So 15 in total. Nice. Okay, so that is enough to hit her. Perfect. Whereabouts do you want to plunge this dagger? Bearing in mind that we all know, you have been told that this is not a fight to the death, so you just want to incapacitate her, but not necessarily kill her.
Okay. Back of the knee at an upward angle in the folds of the armor.
Ouch. Okay. So you just take a step forward, dagger underneath, until you hit some resistant flesh. She screams down on her knees and is basically down on her front in the mud, just kind of tapping out. A couple of kind of servants come along in tabards and kind of drag her out. And just before one leaves, he kind of runs back to you, Fenrir, grabs your wrist and just like pulls it up in the air. And all the crowd start cheering you as if to say, you know, you've done your part at this moment in time. All right, so we move across to Alvalor. Alvalor the sorcerer, who is in combat with a very, very large thug, is perfect word for this guy. He has got like a neck as thick as a tree. He's got scars all over him. And even though he is like dripping blood from his mouth, and you can see he is injured, he's still kind of grinning at you, Alvalor. He's enjoying this fight, even though you think he's pretty much done. So,
Okay.
Alvalor, tell us what we would see as we watch you in this battle.
So I am a half elf, dressed in relatively noble-ish garbs, mostly robes, slightly tattered as if they are from a former life, and effortlessly fighting, trying to keep my distance. Generally, not super concerned about this person, even though he's not nice looking.
He's not nice, but you think you've got him on the back foot, and you've still got some tricks up your sleeve, Alvalor. So this is your turn. This is your turn. So what would you like to throw at him at this moment in time?
I'm gonna hit him with a fire blast.
Nice. Okay. Firebolt, yeah.
Yeah, firebolt.
Firebolt's
Yep.
right. So
Sorry.
nice. This is a ranged spell attack, so you wouldn't be able to do this if you're standing right next to him. So obviously, we'll just assume there's a bit of distance. So
Yep.
this is a +5 to hit as well. So if you roll your d20, add 5 to it, and we'll see how you do.
Not great. 8.
Okay, so that's 8 in total.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. So that does not manage to hit. So this guy basically he kind of does, he almost does the Matrix thing. He's surprisingly dexterous considering his size. It almost kind of bends back as this firebolt shoots over his shoulder, smashes into some tarpaulin that's over some of the people keeping the rain off, which consequently bursts into flames, and then they all run screaming from the stands. Some of them, but other people are cheering because this is great entertainment for them. So this guy, this guy smiles at this. He's quite pleased that you have managed to miss, and he has got just a huge sword, is what he's using. So he comes towards you, down, and he makes an attack.
Okay.
So he swings his sword at you, and give me one moment. Okay, he gets. So this is against your AC, your armor class. Ouch! He gets a critical hit. He rolls a 20.
Oh, great.
He rolls a
Man,
20.
my smoke is immediately shit on.
Wow, this is not good. This is not good. Okay. Okay, so you are going to take 6, 7, 8. So you're going to take 8 bludgeoning damage from this, Dow.
All right.
This comes cracking down onto your shoulder. But Dow, it seems that even though you have taken this nasty wound to your shoulder, the effort that it has taken for him to crack this blade down on you. The blade, by the way, is fairly blunted through battle, so it
Okay.
doesn't actually slice right into you. It just kind of smashes your shoulder. The effort that this has taken has just finished him off. This guy's so exhausted. He thinks he's beaten you. He thinks you're out of the fight. He just essentially just loses all motivation, and he just
Okay.
kind of crashes back onto his back, still smiling, like he's enjoyed this fight a lot. The guys in taverns come running out. They look at you, hit you on the cheek down, see that you're still awake, looking up at them, go over to him, smack, smack. He is completely out. Both of them take a lot of effort to then start dragging him out of the arena, and then they just kind of pull your hand up where you're lying in the mud, and you hear a small cheer. Okay, moving on. Over to our barbarian friend, Morgan of the Mountain. Okay, Morgan. You are fighting a Weasley little fella, but he is causing problems for you because he is like ducking and weaving all over the place. He can almost just get through your legs, and you're getting quite exhausted trying to hit the guy. So you're getting kind of a bit frustrated. But tell us what we see when we see Morgan the Mountain fighting.
Well, he has like a piggish snout with tusks.
Nice.
He's very strong. His muscles everywhere. It's kind of ridiculous. Where he actually probably does have limited mobility. So fighting a small guy like this, you could tell, is probably the hardest thing I've done in a while.
Yeah, sure.
My biggest weapon is a great axe. Has tons of detail. You can tell probably by also my clothing. It's my most prized possession. And I have 2 hand axes, one on each side of my belt, and you can see javelins on my back. My armor is really just kind of plates that have been tied together by rope and string and leather. So I'm not really wearing a lot of clothes, so a lot of my muscles are kind of visible for that.
Nice. Okay.
And my hair looks good.
So your hair looks good. Very obvious how strong you are, and obviously a fighter because you've got so many weapons just strapped to you. So this little Weasley guy should be a walk in the park for you. Strength is no contest, but he's just pissing you off because he's like ducking and weaving all over the place. Yeah. But you see an opening. You see a moment. His foot kind of slips on the mud, so where he was about to leap to one side, all the energy of that leap just goes into the mud where his foot is. So you have a moment to get in and attack. So make an attack. What would you like to do?
Well, I'm just going to swing my greatsword, which is a D20, right?
Yeah, D20, and then you use the plus whatever the modifier is to hit. Where's your barbarian? Okay.
Plus 5?
Yeah, plus 5. That's the one.
Dang. So it's 20. Not like a crit, just 20.
So we call it a dirty 20, or that's what my
dirty
D&D
20
group used to call it. It's either a critical hit or it's a dirty 20. Nice.
Okay, that's
20 is amazing. Okay, so smash your great axe into him. What part of the body are you going for here?
I mean, he's so small. I'm just trying to come down on top of him in any way that I can.
So straight down.
Just two-handed. Wow.
Nice. We could probably say, because, as I said, because we know this is not to the death, it could be that at the last moment, Morgan, you could like slightly twist your axe so the blade doesn't come straight into it. It just kind of glances and
turn it sideways and pancake him.
Smash him on the head. Nice. This is going to do a heck of an amount of damage anyway, but let's roll damage for the heck of it. So damage is, as it says there, 1d12 plus 3. So if you could roll a d12 for me, plus the 3, and then give me the number.
That's a crit, so 15.
Nice. Okay.
Interesting.
So,
he's dead.
As the flat, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, doesn't know. As the flat of your axe crashes down onto him, the frustration and the rage that he's been so evasive so far just kind of carries through, and his head kind of goes, and you there is a crack. You do hear a crack from somewhere within his neck. But at this point, you probably don't care that much, Morgan, because he was just pissing you off. So this guy just flops down in the mud, and you just you barely look at the guy. You just kind of stand away, maybe give a stretch of your muscles or whatever. And already they're carrying this guy away, and you can see as the guys in tabards are carrying away, one of them's really trying to wake him up, and the other one's digging his fingers into his neck, and they look a bit concerned. But it's out of your hands, Morgan. You've done your work. It's all good. So, last person is our ranger, who is weaving around, perhaps with a bow in hand, if he's doing the attacks from distance, but he also has a short sword as well. So, Phil, you are up against another lady, but this lady is, you think there may be some magic in her. In fact, you've seen her release a spell that our sorcerer has as well. You've seen her release a firebolt earlier on, so you know she's a little bit more magical than some of the other fighters. She doesn't wear chainmail or anything. She's just got some simple leather armor, quite slim, maybe some pointy elf ears in there. You can't quite see. She's been quite difficult, but she's trying to stay far away from you. So Phil, tell us about your ranger. Tell us what he looks like.
Cool. So he's a high elf. So looking, even after we say a good long battle here, still looking pretty chic as elves do. Nice blue robes, not too much mod on them. He's kept them pretty clean, hasn't fallen over or anything. He's got agility. Nice pristine hair. Young looking face. These elves, they don't really age that much, so he's looking pretty young, even though he's getting on in age elf wise. And it's basically just been spending the battle, at a bit of range, using his longbow and trying to get some hits in.
Nice. Okay, so at the moment, is our ranger? Are you holding back at the edge of the arena, planning to use your bow again, or are you getting closer in with your short sword?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick at range. She's got the magic, so it gives me a bit of time to dodge the magic if I'm further away.
Nice. Okay. All right. And Akin is this ranger's name. Now, Akin, I'm going to ask you. I'm putting you on the spot here, Phil. I'm going to ask you to be slightly creative. You've got an opening now. You are going to shoot your bow at this slightly magic-y elf, perhaps, wanting to take her out of the game, right? So you don't want to kill her. You don't want to aim straight at her chest.
Okay.
So, what are you going to do with your bow and arrow now to take her out of the game? What could you do? Can you be creative so that you don't kill her, but you might be able to incapacitate her in some way?
Okay, yeah, we can go. You said we're in a little arena type thing here, are we?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think we use a little bit of the agility. Going to take a run towards the wall and slightly up it, and sort of leap off the wall, so I've got a bit of height advantage.
Nice.
And then draw a bow and aim probably for sort of her thigh muscle, like a leg. Nothing too critical in the center. We'll aim for a leg. It'll stop her mobility and hopefully take her out.
Nice. Okay, perfect. All right, so in which case, what I'm going to say then, Akin, is I'm going to get you to roll for me, please. Let's go for, we'll go for an acrobatics check to see if this wall leap is actually going to be successful. So if you manage this, if this goes well, then we will say that you can then shoot this arrow with advantage. So you get a nice, good, clean shot at her and things are going well for you. If you fail, if you don't manage the wall leap, then you're going to be shooting with disadvantage. So it's going to be much, much harder to hit her. Okay?
Okay, cool. So it's a bit D20 roll, yeah?
Yep, so that is a D20 plus 3, which is your acrobatics skill.
So 14.
14. Okay, that's not bad. You don't get quite as high as you would have liked. You feel that you could have been perhaps more impressive with a slightly longer run-up, that maybe the crowd would have cheered slightly louder for you. But a 14 is good. You still manage to do what you do. So you hit that wall running up, and you leap as far as you can, knock that bow, and then let it go. So you are now rolling to hit with advantage. So just to remind you guys, advantage means that Phil will roll 2 d20s or a d20 twice and take the highest dice as the result. So you're just getting a good, a double, an extra chance.
Cool. Oh, nice. I got a 13 and a 19. So a 19 plus...
19 plus 5, so 24.
Plus 7.
Oh,
because
yes,
my
you're at level
longbow's...
2.
Yeah, so that is 26.
So that is a fantastic shot, Phil, or should I say Aiken, from high up in the air. It goes exactly where you want it to go. So just describe exactly what happens.
So it's going to just like rifle in just between like above the knee. We don't want to hit the joint and really mess her up, but like into the good meaty flesh just above her knee, crumbles to the floor. Can't move, and is well and truly done.
Very nice. Very nice. The guys in tabards come straight out. They've been calling this fight for some time, it seems. So they come straight out. They start clearing up, and you guys, all four of you, and can I just remind you guys, you don't know each other, okay? You are not necessarily from this town. I leave that up to you. I don't mind too much if you're from this town or not. But basically, this was a melee opportunity, and you, all four of you, have independently heard about it, and so you have come to see how you can do. You have not yet spoken, any of you, but it seems you are the last four standing. So as the guys in tabards take all these guards away, an older man walks out. He's quite well dressed. He's got like a long, almost floor length sort of tunic. And he is maybe in his sort of late 50s. He's got a black, close cropped beard, but lots of flecks of white in it. And he walks out into the middle, and he seems slightly awkward being there. He doesn't like to be in the spotlight, it seems. And he says, he sort of holds his hands up and he says, "We have our winners." And there is a big cheer. The Brown Mead Adventuring Company have been incapacitated here today, which means that these four gentlemen shall receive their prize. He turns to you guys in your various states of injury and exhaustion and introduces himself as Brinley Ottershot. And he is the Chamberlain of White Sparrow Keep. So White Sparrow Keep is the old small castle that sits on the hill. So he is the caretaker, he is the servant of the Lord, the king, if you will, that owns this castle. So he is a servant, but obviously he's quite high ranking. And he tells you that this whole thing, as you know, has been arranged for the king, for Lord Marlin White Sparrow, and you have been victorious. So you have won a banquet, no expense spared, which will be held at the castle this evening in your honor. He says, Lord White Sparrow may wish to discuss some other business with you as well, but for the meantime, I would suggest you get yourself cleaned up, and in a couple of hours, report to the keep, where we will show you to the dining room, and you shall be congratulated on your victory here today. I take my leave. And he gives you no chance to even ask him any questions. He's quite uncomfortable. He doesn't want to be there. So, you guys left on your own. There is a tent next to the arena where you guys can go and clean up, get yourself sorted, sheath your weapons or whatever. So that's where you guys all head. People have started milling away. They're all sort of moving around. So you've got a little bit of time. So guys, you head into that tent, and this is kind of your opportunity to talk to the other people who you were fighting with, if you want to. I'm just going to kind of take a step back from this now and leave you guys in that tent. You are more than welcome to introduce yourself and talk to each other, but there's no pressure if you're the silent type. But basically, you've all won together, and you're all going to be heading to this castle in an hour or so for a big feast. What do you guys want to do? What do you want to say to each other?
Well, I'm glad I put on the most entertaining battle today.
But did you see how I smashed that man?
Yeah, I saw him come back. You smashed him into oblivion.
Yeah, was not meant to be to the death, but I'm not sure he's going to survive.
Oh,
We'll have to
he'll
see.
be good.
Oh
in
no,
a
I
month.
saw him. He's definitely dead. So
it was
But-
hard.
it was worth it.
Yeah,
I mean, we get a nice dinner out of this, right? It's not
Absolutely.
his
Yeah.
fault, or not your fault. He doesn't know how to protect
Do you know where the
himself.
hose is? We're supposed to freshen up.
Oh, I used all the water. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll use the trough that the pigs drink out of.
Yeah, there's some like water that's built up on the floor. You could probably use.
I pick up the trough and I just dump it easily all over my muddy armor and feet.
Nice. It does the job. You know, yeah, I mean,
Ah,
nothing's going to
Oh,
stop it
I was
much.
just kidding about the hose. I did use a lot of water, but I didn't expect you to actually do that.
no, this is just like back at home.
A young servant, maybe a boy of about 15, kind of comes in sheepishly, and he's got a very crude kind of wooden tray, but it does have 4 tankards of ale on. He looks absolutely terrified. He just kind of shuffles into the room and doesn't say anything. He just stands at the door. Just
Hey,
Ale?
Hey, Ew.
Where is the wine?
we are victorious.
I thought I was
Wine?
supposed to get whatever I wanted for this banquet. You bring in here ale?
I'll take 2 more.
He's kind of so the ale kind of disappears from his tray, and then he's sort of listening to what you're saying about the wine, and he sort of barely finds his voice and said, do you want me to ask if we've got any wine?
Why wouldn't you just assume?
We're the winners, aren't we? Fetch this
yeah.
man some wine.
And
I would
then
like some wine. No, I'm not drinking anything though.
he drops the tray on the floor and runs out, absolutely terrified.
What kind of servants do they have here?
Can't get the staff.
So after about 2 or 3 minutes, you guys notice the flap of the tent where he came in earlier. He doesn't come in. His hand comes in through the flap, and there is a bottle of wine in there, and he just leaves it, and then you can hear him running away across the field. So you've got your wine, guys, but you're gonna have to drink it out of ale tankards. He hasn't bought any glasses for you.
All right, I'm gonna pour out my tankard full of ale and fill up a glass of wine.
What a waste.
Yeah.
I mean,
feel
you're free to drink
You
it.
poured it out.
Yeah, on the ground. It's all yours if you want it.
We're an elf and a half elf. We have slightly better standards than
Yeah.
just ale. Like, you know,
Unfortunately.
refined wine is.
Morgan of the
As
Mountain
an,
is just
as an
staring.
orc, I just one mouthful all the ale and the mud. Just
Don't
can't let it go to waste.
Mucking
I
around.
need
in the-
another bucket of pig water.
Wait, what race are you? I'm sorry.
I'm an orc.
half orc.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
half orc. I thought it was
That
full orc.
I think it's half.
that sounds about right.
Oh, it does say half orc, but I don't know what the other half is.
Human.
Left him.
Just
Something.
human?
Yeah, it's gonna be human. Yeah. So Morgan was just kind of staring incredulously at this puddle of ale on the floor at Alvalor's feet. But yes, then he just kind of sucks it all up, mud and all.
Okay.
And to think I share half of my race with you.
Delicious men.
I'm just gonna continue tending to my weapons first before cleaning myself up.
Sure. Okay. So our halfling is just sorting his weapons out, kind of not getting so much involved in all this nonsense that's going on behind him. Aiken, what are you doing? Are you kind of ready to go, or are you sorting all your weapons out as well?
Yeah, just checking on the weapons, making sure they're okay, but most are ready to go. Yeah.
Okay. Have any of you guys got a change of clothes that you are going to change into to attend the keep this evening, or are you going to stay as you are?
Mine don't need changing. They're not muddy. Remember, I'm pristine after my battle, of course.
Mine are the nicest clothes I still own.
Okay.
So
you
I'll
guys
be
are-
wearing.
Get a change of clothes.
Sorry, Fen, say again.
I will definitely go get a change of clothes.
Okay. So you probably head out the tent at some point, maybe to your lodgings in a tavern in the town or something, and get yourself a bit smarter, get yourself sorted out. Cool. Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm clean, but I like to stay ready for battle, so I'll keep my
Absolutely.
armor on.
So you've got all your armor, all your weapons ready to go in case it all goes wrong. Cool.
Only one set of armor. Good to know.
All right. So you guys, we'll skip forward in time. You guys arrive at White Sparrow Keep. It's old. It was obviously quite grand in its day. It's a little bit dilapidated now. You see, like, from the outside, maybe some of the upper rooms aren't really occupied because you can see, like, some of the glass in the window is broken and stuff. So, you know, it needs a bit of tender, loving care. But you know, it's still warm. It's homely. Remember, it is winter, remember, so, you know, it is pretty cold outside. So by the time you get up to the keep, the sun has gone down, the wind is whipping the snow around you guys, so you're quite keen to get in and have some nice warm food and warm drink. Brinley Ottershot, the Chamberlain, welcomes you in. He meets you at the front door. He shows you through a couple of winding corridors, and you come into a beautiful, beautiful dining room. It's not massive, it's not huge, but it is very lovely. There are garlands, there are swags, there are decorations up for winter mass, which is coming very soon. And there, at the head of the table, stands Lord Marlin White Sparrow. Now, for those of you who don't live here, you probably haven't seen this guy before, but he's actually quite a young lord of the village. You reckon, just by looking at him, he's probably in his early 30s, something like that. He's quite fresh-faced. He has kind of curly hair down to here, looks quite cherubic, and he stands up and he says, "Congratulations. Honestly, congratulations. I was watching you fight and I was impressed. Now, I cannot say that I am much of a fighter myself. I can duel every now and again, but I do read adventure stories, and so I know a good fighter when I see one. And you four, you have bested one of my finest adventuring companies. So I knew you were the ones to join me in my keep here this evening. Please sit down, make yourselves at home. Servants, let us have some food and drink." And so he seems quite young, quite wet behind the ears, but friendly. And you have a very lovely meal. But you all suspect that perhaps there's more to come. Surely this whole thing was not just so you could have a meal. You remember the town crier talking about some sort of opportunity for wealth or something. And lo and behold, it soon comes up. Lord Marlin starts talking about the fact that he is technically a king of this area, but the power of his family's definitely dwindled in recent years. Back in the day, back in the generations past, the White Sparrows really were kind of the only lords of the area. They owned a huge amount of the land. But then other kings turned up, there were battles, and Lord Marlin White Sparrow really is just kind of a man that lives in a castle. And he's not so happy with this. He feels slightly responsible that his family has lost its power. And so he's got a little idea in his mind, and as he starts to talk to you about this, his chamberlain, Brinley Ottershot, is just standing behind his right shoulder, and you can just see that he just keeps looking down. There's the odd clench of a jaw when Lord Marlin White Sparrow is talking, so you can immediately see, quite obviously, that Brinley Ottershot is not particularly happy with what the Lord is saying. But basically, Marlin White Sparrow tells you that he has found a book, an ancient tome, in his library called The Grand History of the White Sparrows, which contains descriptions of all the lords and ladies who came before him, all his ancestors. Tells about what happened to them and what happened to the family. And there are many hints in this book about certain chambers and treasures of the family that lie beneath White Sparrow Keep. And because he is bored of sitting around not doing much, Lord Marlin thinks this could be a great adventure story. There could be something underneath the keep. And in fact, he's looking for a particular treasure, one that he's read an awful lot about. It is a crown of the very first Lord of White Sparrow. And you can tell that he's got this idea in his head that if he can get that crown from beneath this castle and wear that crown again, then somehow it's going to restore him and his family to their former power. So he is basically looking for people to accompany him beneath the keep. That's why he held this grand tournament. And you guys have proved yourself to him. So when he starts to talk about the family's history, he mentions that the book he reads is quite, it seems to gloss over some of the facts. He can tell that there's more to it. And he says, and of course, Brinley Ottershot has worked for my family for 50 years. He knows a lot more of the history than I, but unfortunately his lips are sealed. Isn't that right, Brinley? And Brinley is behind. He says, "My lord, I will of course tell you anything you need to know, but what's done is done. The White Sparrows, they have a checkered past, but I don't believe it will bring you any joy or peace to learn about it, and it will not help you regain your crown. So I just feel this whole endeavor is foolish, my lord. Hiring these gentlemen to go beneath the keep, do you not understand the danger? We do not know what is down there. No one has been down there for 200 years. Shush, Brinny, it is an adventure. If I do not do this, nothing will happen. I will sit here stuffing my face. I'll get fat like all my other kings. No, it must be done. And so, he stands up. He puts his offer to you. Gentlemen, I would like you to accompany me beneath the keep. Tonight, this very instant, if you agree to it. There will be riches down there, I'm sure. And I do not know what they are, but they will be yours. That will be your payment. There will be payment enough down there. The only thing I'm interested in is the king, or the crown, should I say, of the first king. That is what I want. As I said, I'm not much of a fighter, so you will be leading the way and dealing with any problems there are so that I can walk through safely. I will take my book with me so we can learn about all the history as we go. You are adventuring men. Your bellies are full. What do you say? And so he looks at you all very expectantly.
Assuming the pay is right, I'm willing to help.
Are we expected to trust your word on there actually being treasure for us down there?
It is a good question. Fenrir, yes. Wonderful. Yeah, we do not have many halflings in this part of the world, so it is an honor to meet one such as yourself, good sir. I cannot say for sure. I will be honest. This book talks of treasures long buried, and as I say, no one has been down there for 200 years. However, if we get down there, and we find the crown, mind you, but no treasures are there, then I think it only fair that I recompense you when we come back up to the surface out of my own treasury. How does that sound, Mr. Fenrir?
Again, how do we know what's in your treasury? This castle has clearly seen better days.
Yes. Yes, it has. I do not really want to waste my money fixing tiles on the roof and that sort of thing. I tend to spend it on horses and sword lessons and that sort of thing. But there is substantial wealth. I can prove it. Brinley, bring in one of the chests. Brinley Ottershot kind of... Yes, my lord. He goes off, there's clanking around, and he brings in a fairly decent-sized treasure chest, cracks it open, and it's full of silver coins, beautiful silver coins, each one with the head of Lord Marlin Whitesparrow. He says, I had these minted about 6 months ago. They are yet to enter circulation, but that is wealth enough for you, I am sure, Mr. Fenrir. What do you say?
How many chests do you have?
I've got... Brinley, how many chests do we have? Brinley says, there are 27, my lord, but they all have purpose. They are all promised to various people. We cannot just start handing them out to these gentlemen. Shush, Brinley. They may well deserve it. 27 chests. There, Mr. Fenrir. There is your treasure. Now are you pleased?
Okay, so you have 27 chests. How many of them will actually become ours?
Well, this is all unpleasant talk, the sordid topic of coin and everything. But I'm sure we could spare one. Brinley says one chest. We can spare one chest, but there are many hundreds of coins in there. I mean, this is more than you would even need. And remember, this is only if no treasures be found. Now, I do not think I can be fairer than this.
Is that one each?
No. One chest for you as an adventuring company. But there must be 200-300 silver coins in there. That is a fair price, I think.
The problem is we're not really a company. We're some people here. I don't know these people. They could betray me the second we walk out of this door. I want my own chest.
Ottershot, can we no, he says no. He says no.
I guess I want to say thank you for dinner then, sir.
To him?
Sorry, Fenrir, say again?
Who's actually in charge here? Should we just be talking to him since he seems to be running the budget and you're looking for hired swords?
So this would appear to push his buttons slightly, Fenrir. Now, I would like you to roll me a check, Fenrir, because of what you just said. Now, I'm going to give you the choice. I think we will either go for persuasion or intimidation. What would you prefer? Or if neither of those suit you, then we could just go for a straight charisma check.
I'll run. I'll do persuasion.
Persuasion. Sure. Okay, roll me a persuasion check, please.
Ooh, okay. 16. I don't know what it adds though. +2.
Nice. Okay, so 18. Perfect. Okay. So this obviously pushes his button, Fenrir, but you haven't offended him. He sort of puffs out his shoulders, his chest, and he says, "Oh, you are right, Fenrir. I am in charge. My chamberlain does not decide what wealth is dispensed in my name. And so, I say to you, gentlemen, a chest each. I'm very happy with that, only if no treasures are found." Brinley says, "My lord, you cannot give each one of these a chest. That is a small fortune. It is more than a town earns. You could... I am doing business here, Brinley." So there you have it. A chest each.
A chest each I can work with.
I think I can manage that.
I like the deal, and I want to keep whatever I find if it suits me.
Of course, Mr. of the Mountain. Of course.
And I don't like to be hungry.
We shall take food with us. Brinley, see, we have some rations for Mr. of the Mountain here. Good.
I don't like it when I'm angry.
Before we venture off, we'll have full access to your armory.
Well, you could have full access to it. I mean, there is not much in there. I have some fencing swords, but I'm afraid, other than that, the armory is empty. I sold all the weapons a long time ago.
I'll need a few flagons of wine.
Wine? Yeah, it's as long as we can carry it all. I'm assuming the way might be quite treacherous. The path's quite narrow, but yes, we can take enough food and drink to last us.
Just a few flasks. I can strap them to my back.
Wonderful. So, can I say that an adventure is afoot?
I think we've struck
take a
deal.
barrel?
Carry it.
Yes,
I'll strap a barrel of ale to my back as well.
of course. Brinley, a barrel of ale for Mr. of the Mountain.
The happiest
Brinley's
half
having
orc
the
alive.
worst time ever, and so he's snapping servants. He's getting all this stuff, getting it all sorted. So, at this point, unless there is anything else you guys want to say, we will crack on. And
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Lord White Sparrow is obviously very excited. He has retrieved one of his fencing swords, which he has strapped to his waist. He has got his book, The Grand History of the White Sparrows, and he is leading you out of the hall. You are loaded up with wine and with food. Morgan has a great big barrel strapped on his back. Everyone is happy, kind of laden down a bit, Morgan, but you're okay. You're okay. And he starts to descend, starts to take some steps downwards. Down into the cellars, you go past the kitchens, where they're just kind of clearing up after the grand feast that you've had. Lots of people, there's a lot of staff, lots of people milling around. Past the kitchens, down another flight of stairs into what is the cellar, which is strange because it seems that Lord Marlin has made Brinley or the servants carry up a barrel of ale all the way up to the dining hall to give to Morgan, and now you've all walked all the way back down to the cellar where it came from. But this is oblivious to him. And he comes to the end of the cellar, the wall, where there is a very obviously kind of blocked off wooden. It looks like the entrance to a mine shaft where they put all the planks across it, but you can't see through. I mean, this thing has been like hammered. There's so many planks on the edge there, and he is standing there, and he says, "This is it, gentlemen. This is the path to our riches and the path to putting myself back at the head of the White Sparrow family, bringing me back to power. I thank you, and I wish us well. Brinley, would you do the honors?" And they turn, and Brinley's he's stood there. He's brought down this tiny little hammer with a little claw on the end, and he's kind of staring at the Lord Marlin sort of incredulously, like, "What do you expect me to do? There's 3 foot of wood in front of us." And he says, "Yes, Mr. of the Mountain, could you do something with the wood covering this entranceway? I think maybe you were best suited to the job."
Absolutely. Do you want me to roll for it or just role play it?
I don't think there's any need to roll for it. I just don't think you would fail at this.
So I have 50 foot of rope, and that's what I use to tie the barrel around like a backpack.
Mhm.
And I take the barrel off, and then I just kind of get in this big bouldering position, and I just run as fast as I can, and hitting with fists and head at the same time into the wood, like just plow into it as hard as I can.
Amazing. Okay, so you literally like a cannonball,
Just
this thing just
yeah.
explodes. All you guys are like covering your face as bits of wooden shrapnel kind of shoot out at you. Brinley Ottershot has basically left. He's like, I'm having none of this. Lord Marlin is sort of, he's kind of wiping dust out of his eyes, but he's also sort of clapping. Bravo, bravo, Mr. of the Mountain. Morgan, it was slightly harder than you were expecting. You were expecting to kind of get through this and then kind of, find yourself in a pathway kind of heading into the mountain or something. But you got through the wood, you felt that give. Then you hit something really hard, like a brick wall. And you're sort of, you're really kind of, your head, it's ringing in your ears. And as the dust settles, all you guys see, it looks like sandstone. It's a sandstone wall, a doorway that is, it is covered, there is stone there. It is blocked. And it looks like a little silver bowl that is almost inlaid into the wall. It's almost like it's been set into the wall. So it's kind of half out, half into the door. And there is a little inscription or some kind of writing over the top. But it is super dusty, and a lot of the inscription has lost its contrast, so it's quite hard to see. But this is what you guys see.
Say anything about this in your book?
Can we read it?
I will. And he starts flapping through his book. Who said? Can you read it? Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan.
Morgan. Yeah. I mean, you can certainly get closer and kind of see if you can, like, get the dust off and stuff.
I think if my head's ringing, I'm just gonna sit down and pretend like I'm not hurt.
Yeah, sure. Just trying to look very nonchalant and cool about it. Lord Marlin's like, it says nothing here about any doorways or silver bowls. No, I am slightly puzzled, gentlemen.
I'm gonna go have a closer look at the bowl. I use my elf eyes. What do your elf eyes see?
Ooh, elf eyes. Nice. Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay, so you want to have a look at the bowl in particular?
Yeah, the bowl and that inscription over
And
the top of it.
Okay, so you look at the inscription. Give it maybe blow, just get some dust off. Now you're closer. It is actually, it's okay. You can read it. It says, give to receive. Give to receive. As you look down at the bowl, now I need to ask you a question, Akin. When you look down at the bowl, are you basically looking at it to see if you notice anything about it, or are you actually like properly looking at this bowl, like investigating it, looking underneath it, looking for anything in particular?
Gonna give a good inspection of it.
Okay.
One of my personality traits is my curiosity draws me to look behind every door, so I'm gonna properly sort of inspect around it, try and figure out what's going on with it.
So that's what you would do. Okay, so let's have an investigation check, please, Akin.
Okay. No pluses or minuses, so I get a 10.
Okay, a 10 in total.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. So you have a good look at this bowl. Underneath, in it, the light is not great, even with your elf eyes. It looks fairly ordinary to you. You don't notice anything particularly impressive about it. You don't notice any little traps, any levers. You kind of come away feeling slightly disappointed, Akin.
Yeah, it's a shame.
So Lord Marlin says, well, that was a short adventure, wasn't it? I suppose we should all go to bed, try again in the morning. What do you think?
No.
I'm sure there's more to it.
So the inscription said, give to receive, was it?
Give to receive, yep.
I would like to pour some of my ale in the bowl.
Yeah, I'm thinking this might be the trick. Got to give it some water. The barrel has come in handy.
So I grabbed the whole barrel up. I waddle it over there, and I'm guessing it's already been, whatever that thing's called, punched.
Yeah.
And I open it to make it maybe halfway full, and then I close it, and then I fill up my own tankard and I sit down next to it.
Nice. Okay. So we've got the bowl is now full of frothing ale, and you've now sat down. You just kind of you've got your own. You're just kind of staring at it, waiting for something to happen.
That'll do it.
Unfortunately, nothing does happen.
Damn.
The fizz in the ale just slightly dies down, and the nice fizzing sound in the bowl just kind of stops.
Does the bowl stay full?
Yeah, the bowl stays full. The liquid hasn't gone anywhere.
Is the bowl movable?
No, it's kind of no. It is inset very solidly into this wall. It doesn't look like you can kind of move it around or push it inwards or anything like that.
I kind of slyly move in, grab Aiken's hand, and put the tiniest cut in his hand over the bowl.
Ooh. Wow. Okay. So you
Drop a
move.
blood.
So let's just. So you move in, grab Aiken's hand. So this is all very very quick and fluid, and you actually cut his hand.
Yep, it's a little cut across the hand.
Oh, Aiken. This is
Ouch.
yeah. But I guess this just happened so quickly.
I immediately get in a very guarded stance.
Okay. You what? Getting to your feet with ale, going. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Give Fen a stern look that he's just, cut my pristine elf finger.
So this happens super quickly because this, of course, is Mr. Fenrir the Halfling. So Aiken, this has happened before you barely realised it's happened, and suddenly you realise, ow, my finger hurts. Ow, there's blood dripping into this. But what's? Oh, Fenrir's got my wrist. It happens that quickly. So a drop of blood from his hand just falls into the last of the bubbles of the ale, and Fenrir, you are watching this quite closely because this was your idea. You
Yep.
watch this and you see that as the drop of blood just touches the top, it kind of disperses a little bit. Then it comes back together in a drop, and it's almost like a little like vacuum or suction or something at the bottom of the bowl has taken just the blood. You can see it go and kind of disappear. All the ale is still there, but that little bit of blood just disappears down. And there is a slightly ethereal noise, just like a humming or something like the sound of, like a monk singing 10 rooms over or something. Just this weird little thing which kind of hints to you that something has happened, or at least this was the correct thing to do. And yet nothing changes and the door doesn't open. Aiken, you have lost 1 hit point.
Oh,
So can you minus your 1 hit
I
point
can.
from your drop of blood?
done. Down to
Some of-
24.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a mean paper cut, that is.
Cannon here.
But alright, if it didn't open for 1 drop of blood, well, there's more than one of us here. Maybe we all need to give a drop.
Or maybe the king needs to drop his blood.
He looks slightly queasy. At this
Royal
suggestion.
blood.
Hmm.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, do you really think that is necessary, gentlemen? I mean, blood is blood, is it not? All much the same.
Well,
Well,
adventure, sir.
You can go on to say blood is blood, but you also said that this adventure is over. So if we walk away now, we have your chests of silver and you get nothing.
Yeah. Now. That sounds a bit. I'm not sure about this. We are all friends here, Mr. Fenrir. We are not on opposite sides at the moment. All right. If that is what you say. And he sort of just gingerly holds his finger out to you, Fenrir, because he saw you do the last thing.
Okay? Nick his finger over the bowl.
Ow! It's very painful. Little deeper cut than it was for Aiken. More blood comes out. 2 or 3 drops at least. Gets sucked down in the thing, whilst the king is actually sucking his finger. And there is this same noise again, and there is a rumbling. There is the sound of locks or stone tablets hitting or clunking, and the door just slides across, showing you guys basically blackness, a very, very dark corridor. The only thing that you can see is around the inside of the door are various roots and things that have grown down from above, like pale roots just sticking out. But other than that, it's pitch black. The king is very, very excited, and Fenrir, you get a hearty slap on the back for this.
Okay.
Hey! I put my barrel back on.
This
Seems
is
I
the
was correct.
first time.
Nice. Okay, so you guys are all kind of ready to go. The barrel is back on. Okay, so guys, we probably need some kind of marching order here because this is a single file place. You're not going to be standing next to each other.
I'll be towards the back.
Okay.
So I can take behind the king actually. So I'll take the rear.
Okay. Nice. So king, then
I'll go first.
Dow. Yeah, Morgan is taking the lead.
I thought
Alright.
Morgan might take the lead. I'll go second. That's fine.
Adventure awaits.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
I'll stay in the middle. I keep looking around.
Sorry, Fen. What did you? Sorry, Fen. Say again.
I'll stay in the middle. That's fine, but I'm keeping looking around frequently.
Keeping a look around. Okay, no worries. Now, guys, let me just check. Who do any of you have dark vision?
I do. I have 60 feet, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
Is it dim light or bright or darkness?
So in pitch black, you can see as if it is dim light when you have dark vision, and in dim light you can see like it's bright light. Okay, great. So Morgan's got that as well. So that kind of makes sense that you're taking point. Is anyone taking a torch in here? Has anyone got a flaming torch to light the way as well, or are you heading into pitch blackness?
I was going to try and grab a torch from somewhere. I wasn't sure if there are any on the wall, so I'll have a look around and I'll
Sure.
find one.
My character sheet says I have 10 torches, but I don't want to use one since I have dark vision.
Sure. Okay, that's no worries. That's just kind of standard equipment, I think. But yeah, you probably wouldn't need that.
Oh yeah.
But Aiken, yeah, it's no problem for you to just get a torch nice and quick. So you kind of like that. You're second, aren't you? Just behind Morgan. Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't have dark vision, you have basically the limit of the torch, and the rest of you, yeah, you can see in dim light. All right, guys, you're
Oh
heading
yeah.
in.
Sorry, I had to have dark vision as well. I
Oh, you
couldn't
do as
find
well?
it initially. Yeah, 60 feet. I wasn't sure where it was. I was just reading through my sheet.
Where would that be?
It's on the top of the second page, on the right-hand side for me at least.
Okay, yeah, I don't have that. Right, good to go.
Okay.
Elves, I think, do.
Elves
dark
just do, don't they? Yeah, as
Yeah.
a standard. Dark vision. Halfling won't have. So halfling, yeah. So Fen won't, but I think the rest of you do actually. So obviously,
So the king or whatever,
and
the
king,
lord. I mean,
yeah. So
he doesn't have it.
No, he won't have it either. So maybe.
I'm gonna hand him a torch to light so he can
Okay.
hold it.
Cool, no problem. Okay, guys. So you head in to this very narrow, winding passageway. So as you go through, it's kind of walking, shuffling slowly. There is water that is dripping from cracks in the brick walls and stone walls around you. These are obviously very, very old tunnels. As I said, the roots are kind of burrowing through, reaching in like tentacles of some pale beast, it says. As you pass by, you see the odd stone on the wall with sort of faded inscriptions, like some kind of epitaphs or, little things of people gone past, which the king doesn't really notice. He's just kind of excited to get to the next place. So, Morgan, how are you walking down this corridor? By that, I mean, are you guys just kind of shuffling gently through? Are you literally testing every stone? Are you taking big wide steps to cover some distance? Morgan, it's all kind of led by you at the moment.
I'd say with my dark vision, the barrel on my back, I'm walking at just a regular walking speed.
Sure.
And I do love the sense of an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not scared of anything, but I'm also not dumb.
Yeah.
And I would be cautious as to going somewhere that no one's ever been, If I've seen something on the wall, if I can read it, I will. Right?
Okay.
You said there was maybe a story. If I can't read it, I won't. I won't try.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if it's some pictures or a language.
Yeah, so no, it is common. It is the common tongue, and it seems
Okay.
to be from the words that you grasp and the words that you see. It is like little dedications to kings long past,
Oh,
little descriptions, and
I probably wouldn't care anymore if I was like, oh, this is rubbish.
yeah,
I don't, I'd read, the first few and I'm like, oh, this is rubbish. Maybe after a few steps
yeah,
and we're getting towards maybe the end of the story, what,
yeah,
that was depicted, I might read again to
sure,
see if it looks like it's got intel, I guess.
sure, no worries.
There's no breaks in the path. It's just a straight hallway.
At the moment, you haven't got to any breaks yet, and it's
Do,
yeah, go on.
I was saying, do I need to roll a perception check just on the, first 60 feet?
Yes, that was going to be my next question, please, Morgan. Yeah, I would like you to roll me perception, please.
Okay. My first perception check. Hold on. I don't see perception.
About 2/3 the way down.
Yeah, on the right-hand box under skill checks, the skill checks box on the right-hand side, alphabetical order.
This looks different than the character sheets I've used in my last
Sure,
games.
this is slightly different.
Okay, so it says +3. Okay, so I'd roll a d20 and a +3.
And +3. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, here we go. Oh my god, I got a 2 +3 is 5.
So
Oh, good.
the trouble is, Morgan. The trouble is that you smashed your head into a stone wall, basically.
Yeah, I'm still recovering.
You're still reeling. So you're trying to read stuff which you then realize is really boring. You've got this heavy barrel on your head. You realize you're taking point. You're kind of, you're trying to be careful. You're plowing down. But unfortunately, it doesn't help you at this moment in time, and you have a sinking feeling in your stomach, Morgan, when you take a step and you hear a click and your foot just sinks about 2 or 3 inches into the floor, and all of you guys just hear and some of you feel pain in your sides. It seems that Morgan has set off some kind of trap in this initial corridor, and it sounds like crossbows have just fired out from the walls. Now, this is striking random targets. So firstly, I need to determine how many people it actually goes towards. So let me just roll that. Okay.
Oh man.
Okay, so it's 4 of you guys. It's 4 of you guys.
Jesus.
So
Ow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are 5 of you.
Wait,
So
is that including the king?
yeah, that's going to include the king as well. That's going to include the king. So, okay, I'm just determining who it's actually hitting people. So that's that person.
Did the king's assistant leave?
Yeah, he's not with you guys.
Okay,
He's
I
not
thought
with
you
you
said
guys.
that.
Yeah,
He
he went
bailed.
back. He had enough of it. Okay.
I fed up of getting you beer.
That's it. Yeah, he just got fed
I'm
up.
already on my second.
Okay, so the only person this doesn't hit is Dow, is our sorcerer at the back. He has not gone far enough into this corridor to actually, suffer this. So I'm going to roll an attack against you guys, and I'll roll against each of you because you're all in different positions. So, first things first, Morgan. So this is against your AC, guys. So if you find your AC, your armor class on your sheet, which is on the front page, about halfway down on the left-hand side, next to your max hit points box. And above
14.
it says armor class, initiative, and death saves.
14.
Okay, so Morgan, this to hit you. This is not going to hit you. So this is a 7 against your armor class. So,
yeah, good.
Yep, so you're good.
Doesn't...
So yeah, no problem. This does not hit you. Okay, Akin. This is a 9 against your armor class.
14. So I'm alright.
So you are good.
Uh-oh.
Ben. 16.
I'm at a 14 on armor class.
Okay, so that is going to hit you, Fen. You get an arrow in the side, and you take 4 damage. So if you
Okay.
can -4 from your hit points, and then the king. Oh, the king was very, very lucky. It just like went, basically cut off his fringe, but didn't get his forehead. So Fen was the only one that's actually suffered this trap, with the 4 damage. So guys, you're kind of thrown into confusion for a moment, and the king starts kind of going, "Well, what was this? What was this? I felt something across my head. Did you feel that? Did you feel Dow? Not Dow. What's your name? Alvalor. Alvalor. Did you feel that? There was something happened."
I heard some things. I didn't feel anything.
I'm okay. Everyone else all right?
I hide the wound.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So not letting on at all, Fen. Okay.
So I say nothing and I just carry on.
Oh wow. So the king is like, "I'm sure something. Did nothing happen? No, nothing happened. No. All right.
We're okay. We'll
So he
carry
just
on.
kind of carries on. Okay, just like oblivious. He was really determined something happened there, but no, not going to happen.
I decide that our slightly concussed orc is maybe not the best person to be leading, and just pop a hand on his shoulder and breeze past him to take the lead.
Okay, nice. Morgan of the Mountain. It's a quick movement. He just kind of goes to move past you. I just want to check: are you cool with just releasing the being on point, or would you kind of assert your dominance?
I don't care. Yeah,
Okay.
I would let him go. I wouldn't move though. I wouldn't like turn sideways to let him through. I would just be me, and if he's going through, I'd just be like, okay.
Wow. Okay. So Aiken, you've got that difficult decision of whether you turn to face his side as you squeeze past him, or you kind of put your back to him.
I'm going to go with a face towards him and just give him a quick glance. Just a bit more light-footed in future.
Then while he's passing, I want my half drinking tankard that I filled up before we came in. I would, gesture. You want some? I wouldn't say that, but I would just.
Nice. So it's offered.
I nod respectfully and thank him, but no, I'm good.
You move on.
I finish the rest of my tankard and I clip it on my belt.
Nice. So you're ready to go again. And Aiken,
Oh.
as Aiken passes, as Aiken goes to the side and passes, Aiken, your head is basically at the kind of same level as Morgan's armpit, and you do get this kind of incredible smell of half-orc odor, which I don't know if you've ever smelt it, but it's quite hard to describe.
Pungent.
Yeah, pungent, exactly. Okay. At the
Fen,
end.
would you say something?
During the shuffle, I'm going to go through the elves' inventory to look for something for my wound.
Okay, what? You're going to sleight of hand them?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Phew, this is some serious stuff going on with Fen here. Mr. Shady.
Which elf?
Yeah,
you
which
got a
elf?
half elf, which is Dow, or you got a
Dow
high
or
elf, which is me.
Aiken?
High elf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense because Aiken was right in front of Fen actually. Before you moved, Aiken, you were right in front of him.
Yeah.
Nice.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
All right. So what we're going to do is a contested check. So I'm going to get Fen to roll me a sleight of hand check, please.
Okay.
And Phil, I would like you to roll me a
perception. I have to. I got a nat 20.
Ooh. Okay. Nice. Okay. Nat 20 is basically auto. Actually, do you know what? Let's just see, because technically this is one of these rules that everyone slightly forgets, right? When it comes to nat 20s and nat 1s, it actually technically, rules as written, only applies to combat, not to skill checks. However, I mean, it's very unlikely that Fen would not fail this, because I still go for it's a nat 20, but let's just see anyway. Aiken, could you just roll me perception just out of interest?
Oh, out of interest, 22.
Okay.
All right, with bandage.
I went 18 and a +4, so yeah,
So
22.
22 in total. But Fen, what is your total score?
Be 25 because I got +5.
Because you got +5. Fine. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay. So yeah. So Aiken, you have no idea what's going on here, but Fen is rummaging through your stuff, trying to find something that can staunch his wound. Have you got anything? Have you got anything in your equipment? You might have bandages and stuff. I don't know.
No.
I'm just having a look here. Water skin, mess kit, which is Days of Rations.
No,
Bed pouch.
don't think anything that's of help.
Bedroll, backpack. I mean, there could be something, Fen, that you could use, even if it's just a strip of cloth or anything.
Yeah, I guess he could rip a strip off of the bedroll or something, couldn't he?
You could do something like that quite quickly, Fen, if you're happy with that.
Yeah, pretty much just something to put on the wound, pull the arrow out, that type of thing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. No worries. So you definitely do that in the dark. Rip a strip off and just sort yourself out. Aiken is none the wiser. So Aiken has taken point, and Aiken, you get to a very sort of shoddily made wooden door. It's not barred. And it's just simple planks held together with barring across, just wooden barring across. You can almost see through it. I mean, there's gaps and stuff, but it is barring your way at the moment. It doesn't lay open. What do you want to do, Aiken?
I'm gonna have a little inspect and check for any traps or triggers, given that we've just accidentally done a trip switch in the floor. So something maybe on the hinges. I'll
Very
have a little
wise.
check of those.
Very wise. I'm not going to get you to roll for this because you have a good inspection of this door. It is shoddily made. The hinges are pretty shot, but you can see no evidence of traps or anything like that. You think it's good.
We'll push it open and move on through.
All right. So Phil pushes the door open, and the first thing that you guys notice, and this is all of you as well, is the smell that comes from this room. It is kind of sickly sweet and smells of like vapors. It smells like quite alcoholic, like fermented, sickly sweet something or other. And Aiken, as you look into this room, you see this is a room that there are some stone pillars supporting the ceiling. It has an arched ceiling, this room. And it is divided into sections, this room, by big freestanding wooden shelves. And it looks like, with your dark vision, that these shelves are stacked with bottles, old, dusty bottles.
We found the wine cellar, maybe.
Do you say that
But
out
why would
loud?
I ponder it to myself, but
Okay.
suspect they wouldn't hide wine behind crossbow traps. So
No, that's true.
while I mull it over, I continue into the room, just kind of keeping an eye out and letting everyone else just spread out into the room.
Okay.
I read some of the bottles looking for something that's not alcohol.
Sure. So Fen, so you guys all basically head into the room unless you tell me otherwise.
Yep.
Looking at all these dusty old bottles, the floor is kind of sticky with something that maybe some of the bottles have broken, and this stuff has kind of come out onto the floor. The bottles themselves are, they are wine. They do appear to be wine. Old labels, Fen, maybe some you've heard of, maybe some you haven't. But as soon as you get in here, the king is like, now the wine cellar. I remember reading something about this. Now who was it? And he's kind of shuffling through, and he smacks his hand on the book. Says, yes, Lord Tharmond White Sparrow. Absolutely, yes. It says here kept his most valuable wines in his great cellar. Exactly. Oh, and some of these were magically sealed bottles. Not entirely sure what they are for. But yes, 300 years ago, near the beginning of my line, I believe. And unfortunately, that is all it says. And then he kind of snaps the book shut, kind of disappointed at the amount of, or lack of information that he's got. There is,
Well, if they're
go on.
if they're magically sealed, then let's just start opening them all.
Sure, yeah. So
Well, if we can't open it,
they should look better than the other ones, right?
If we can't open it, then that would be a magically sealed bottle.
So Morgan, you just take a bottle off the shelf.
I just start. Maybe I smell it. I don't know. Grab the next one until I find one that I can't open.
So you're kind of working your way through, Morgan, and you're just popping them all open. Popping them.
Yeah.
Some of them have gone a bit rancid. They're not that nice. Some are okay. None of them are really that exciting, to be honest. But as you guys all kind of work your way through, Morgan, you're heading to the back of the room. There's like a back far corner, and you can hear like there's a couple of popping sounds coming from there, like corks coming out of bottles. But it's not you. It's not you at all. There's just you just kind of clock this in the corner. It's very, very dark over there. What do you want to do?
I just kind of like not yell, but say loudly, "Stop!" so everyone can hear me, and I listen.
Before you can listen, the king is saying, "Stop! Why? Why do we have to? Why is he saying stop? What have you seen, Mister of the Mountain? Mister of the Mountain, what have you seen?"
I go into a rage,
Oh wow!
What?
and I yell at him to stop.
He's like shocked into silence. Morgan, you hear like a kind of, it's like a kind of oozing liquid sound coming from the corner, and it kind of makes your stomach turn. You just get this feel, like this dread feeling, and then you see something move in the corner, something rear up, this kind of mass, and you know something is going on, something is going to happen.
Is it moving slowly?
Reasonably slowly at the moment, but
Then I would take my barrel off my back slowly as well.
okay. So you just like slip this off, and everyone can see what you're doing. Let me just do a quick check of everyone. Okay, Alvalor, so you were at the back of this group. You came
Yep.
into this wine cellar last. So
Yep.
what I want you guys to imagine is a kind of a sort of a big rectangular room in front of you. Think of it like a small library, let's say, maybe like 30 by 30 foot across, and just a number of big bookshelves. So you could walk down the middle almost like an aisle, and there's like 2 or 3 bookshelves on either side that you can see through. They're not full of books, obviously it's wine, but there's big spaces. And then Morgan has basically got about 2/3 into the room, and he is looking into on just to his left, in that far left corner. That's where he's looking. So yes, so Alvalor, sorry, where have you got to?
So I mostly stayed towards the entrance to the room,
Okay.
and hanging out, watching everybody what they're doing.
So you are about, so just for distance's sake, you are about 30 foot from the end of the room that Morgan is looking at. So
Yeah, assuming there's some sort of trap in here, I'm kind of stand back. Is there any way I can check for the magical items in this room? Like if there's a sense magic type feature?
You can do, yeah, absolutely. Unless you have got, so you haven't got detect magic as a spell, have you? Up at the moment.
No, I do not.
That's okay. So we could just do a very simple Arcana check just to see if anything kind of tingles, that you're getting any kind
Sure.
of sense. So yeah, roll me an Arcana check.
That one.
Fantastic. You haven't got a clue if anything's in this
Yeah,
room. No idea at all.
I'm just gonna stand here looking like an idiot.
You were about to do the check when you heard Morgan yell "stop" in some kind of hissy fit rage at the front of the room, so it just kind of distracted you a bit. Okay, guys, Morgan, you know something's about to happen, so we are going to roll initiative. You know there is a threat, and the way that you've yelled "stop" has kind of communicated this to the rest of the crew.
Okay.
So what I would like you guys to do is roll me initiative. So this is your D20 plus your initiative modifier, which your initiative is left-hand side of the sheet, about halfway down under your armor class. I want you to hold on to that number in your head. Don't tell me, please, until I ask for it, because I'm just setting up a very simple combat sheet to keep track of everything here. Okay, Akin, what's your initiative?
5.
5.
Yeah,
Okay.
bad roll.
All right, no worries. Okay, we're gonna have Morgan. Okay, Morgan.
7.
7. All right. Now, the king is not going to join you guys in battle. I mean, he may take out his little fencing sword and wave it around in general, but he's really going to just take steps back and hang at the back. So I'm not basically including him. If stuff goes towards him, then you guys might want to protect him. He's still in harm's way. He can still be damaged, of course, but he's not really going to join in this fight. That's kind of what he's hired you guys for. Alvalor, your initiative, please.
21.
21. It's a bit better. And we have Fenrir.
I had to actually check the history because it didn't show. I got another nat 20 plus 3, so 23.
Oh, very nice indeed. Excellent. Okay. And then just give me 1 second here. I need to roll something. Oh, okay. That, and that. So it's going to be ouch. All right. 1 second. That. And the HP here is going to be 45. Alrighty. Okay. This is good. All right. So, Fen, please, can you tell me roughly where you are in this room, do you think?
I was disgusted at the initial just opening of the bottles, so I was still checking bottles, probably closer to the entrance of the room,
Okay.
looking for anything out of place.
Cool. Okay. No worries. So you're kind of slightly further back. All right. So, guys, you are all within range of this, whatever the heck this thing is going on in the corner. Okay, so we don't have to worry about, do I have enough movement to reach this thing or not? You all have, the room is small enough, so we don't need to worry too much about that. But basically what we need to decide when you're doing your stuff and moving around is whether you're in the center aisle or whether you're kind of in the edges behind, using some of these bookshelves for cover. So just think of these bookshelves as big shelves, bottles of wine piled up on them. But the bottles of wine, they're not solid, right? They're not solid from the bottom of one shelf to the top of the one shelf to the bottom of the next. So you could look through over the wine bottles to see through these things. So you could, like, if you wanted to shoot bows and arrows or whatever, you could. But these things are still giving you a bit of cover. Okay, Fen, you are up first. Alvalor, you will be next. You are on deck next. So Fen, it's kind of hard to determine what the heck's going on here. You have heard Morgan shouting, "Stop!" You know something's going on. You know it is from that's if you were to look down the room, that top left corner, something is going on there. But from where you are, you can't see what's going on. You've got like 2 or 3 shelves of wine in the way. But you are up. So now, sorry guys, just to remind you now that we are officially in combat. For those of you who haven't played or don't remember, basically, when it's your turn in combat, you can move up to your speed, which will say on your sheet. Most of you are going to have 30 foot of speed. Some of you may. Actually, you're a halfling, Fen. You've probably got 25, haven't you? Okay. So that's fine. You can still kind of reach it. You're just going to be not right up in its face. So you can move, and you can take an action. More often than not, an action is going to be an attack of some kind. It might be a spell for Alvalor. There are other actions as well, like shoving and ducking and defending yourself. You don't need to know any of those, but if you want to do something like that, just ask me what you can do, and I can tell you some of the other actions that are available to you if you want to. But yeah, so move and an action. You can break up your move. You can move a little bit and attack and move again. It's fairly open. So Fen, what do you want to do?
I want to stay mostly in cover, but I want to get closer using the bookshelf as cover to look.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Okay. All right. I would like you to roll me a stealth check, please. So
Okay.
we can get you to move, but this stealth check is going to determine whether you manage to basically stay hidden.
I rolled a 1.
Oh, the dice are not with you this evening, Van.
Well, they were. There you go.
Yeah, they were actually. So, on any other day, Fen, you would have beautifully kind of either hopped over the shelves without rustling them at all, or just stepped around the edge like a little kind of fluid shadow. Something goes a little bit wrong. Your shoulder just clunks into one of the shelves and 3 bottles fall from the top, smashing onto the floor at your feet. So everyone knows where you are, including whatever this thing is in the corner. But you still manage to get closer. You're the first off the mark with this, so you whiz around. So shall we say that there is one bookshelf between you and this thing that you can see through the bookshelf? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Okay. So you look through. So you're kind of near Morgan now. Morgan's in the center aisle. You're kind of to the left or in these bookshelves. You look through, and this thing, I mean, I don't know whether you've seen something like this before. It is like Do you know what it looks like? It looks like 100 bottles, no, let's say 1,000 bottles of sticky, thick, sweet wine have fallen on the floor, and then it's come to life. It has raised up. So it's like this. I'm going to say gelatinous, but it's not a gelatinous cube. For those of you that know your D&D, it's just
That's
a
what I
word.
thought we were going.
It's just a word I'm using. I don't mean it like that. No, this thing is like it's more liquid than that, but it's like oozy, and it has like tentacles coming out of it. It's like this thing is alive. And it's large, right? Technically the size is large, so it's kind of, it takes up twice as much space as you people do on a on the floor, as it were. So it's this big liquid, sickly sweet kind of alcoholic thing that is moving in a really disturbing way, Fen.
Does it know I'm here now because of my blunder?
It's gonna be aware of you, sure.
Oh.
And obviously it's aware of Morgan as well. The rest of you guys, not so much. You're a bit further away. But yeah, it knows where Morgan is, and it knows where Fen is.
Shoot. Well, I'll shoot it with my short bow so I don't get too close to it.
Sure. No worries. Okay. Lovely. Okay, so if you could roll me an attack with your short bow.
So D20 first.
Yeah.
9 plus 5.
9 plus 5. Okay, so 14. Nice. Easy. This thing is big, right? It's big and it's slow, so it's not too difficult to hit. It's not running around the place. So you get an arrow into this thing quite easily. Just goes straight in there, and it almost kind of disappears, actually. It almost gets kind of sucked in. But it works. It works, and more importantly, Fen, it takes all the damage that you are about to dish out. Okay, so this thing, it's not doesn't seem to be immune in any way to just shooting it with an arrow. That works. So if you could roll your damage for me.
Okay, I got 5 plus 3.
Okay, so 8 damage on that one. Nice. Okay, so it does react. It kind of rears back. And it almost looks like, if you punch someone in the stomach and everyone kind of doubles up like that. That's how it reacts when this arrow goes in. But the arrow just disappears in there. But it seems to have taken all the damage. One of it's like little pseudopods, liquid arms. They more come out when you hit it, and they kind of start flailing around for you. I mean, you're kind of too far away for it to hit you at the moment, but it's aware of you, right? Okay, all right, so that is your move and that is your action. Now, your only other options, Fen, you've got a couple of other options at this moment in time. There are certain things that can be done with a free action. Very simple things, because it's free, right? So it might be opening a door, or it might be saying a word or two. You can't have great big long conversations, because this entire round, like when every one of you has had your go, that is 6 seconds in time. So we've slowed time right down. So you can't kind of give some kind of big speech now. But if you wanted to give a word of warning or something, you certainly could. The other thing you could do is, if you have anything on your character sheet that says, as a bonus action, you can do this. That's the only other thing. So anyone that has that on their sheet, if it talks about bonus action, that is a thing you can do as an extra thing on your go. I'm just scanning yours, Fen. I don't think you've got bonus action stuff. It tends to be more magic people that have bonus actions. So yes, if you want to do a free action, if you want to say anything or do some very simple action with your hands, you can do. It's your choice, or not.
Can I grab a few of the bottles?
Right, so reach out, just grab some in your hands. Yep.
Yep.
That's absolutely fine. So you've got some bottles in your hands. Perfect. Okay. Alrighty. So Fen, you are done. So we are moving on to Alvalor, who is at the back of the room at the moment, just inside the entrance. So Alvalor, at the moment, you're none the wiser as to what is going on.
Did I hear him or see him shoot an arrow, though?
Yeah, that's fair enough. You would have seen him shoot that into the corner, but you don't really know what he's shooting at.
So I'll move closer to see if I can see what's going on.
Sure. Do you want to head down the center aisle and then keep nipping into the cover of the of the shelves, or are you just going to head straight down the center, like down the center of a church between the pews?
I'll head straight down the center.
Straight down the center, so you will end up probably next to Morgan because he's kind of stood right at the front in the center. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you get there very quickly. Fen has just shot an arrow into this thing, and you see Fen kind of grabbing a bottle or two off the shelf, and you look into the corner and you see this great big. Yeah, it's red, by the way, guys. It has definitely been affected by the wine because it seems that as you get down there, Alvalor, your feet kind of crunch slightly. Sorry, Fen, I should have mentioned this to you as well. My apologies. Your feet kind of crunch on the ground as you're in this area. It seems like a lot of bottles have smashed in time. So this thing is like a blood red, weird liquid thing that's kind of just flailing around in the corner, Alvalor.
Okay. So if I see it, I'm gonna attack it.
Okay.
So I'll roll a d20.
What? Sorry.
Just a
do?
firebolt.
Thunderbolt. Nice.
Firebolt.
Okay.
Sorry, firebolt.
Oh, you're going to firebolt it. Yep, no worries.
So total attack roll would have been a 14.
A 14 is enough to damage this thing, to hit it. So this, you get the point, guys, that this is a big and slow thing. So its armor class is pretty low, right? Fairly easy to hit. So, yes, you just blast this firebolt straight into this thing. Now,
I rolled a 10 for damage. I don't know if I get extra damage.
For your firebolt, let's have
I don't know how that works in 5th edition, if there is extra damage.
No, that's it. You're good. You're 1d5. 1d10 fire damage. And you rolled a what? Sorry, a 10?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so you got max damage. Okay. Couple of things happen here. Firstly, yes, the thing. Basically, when this firebolt hits it, the firebolt engulfs this thing. It takes 10 fire damage, and the thing is like in flames. So not only is it taking damage, but it is suddenly lit up like a beacon, right? Everyone can see. If it could speak, it would be screaming and squelching now, but there is no noise. It almost makes it more unnerving that this thing is burning in silence. However, there is a sort of second effect that this has created. You may remember that this room is
full of alcohol,
full of vapors. It's quite an alcoholic place. Now, one or two of you guys did have torches, but it seems that wasn't probably quite enough to set this room off. However, a firebolt being let off, and now this great big ooze monster on fire, it has caused a slightly larger problem. The entire room is suddenly engulfed in a fireball as all these vapors ignite. So what I need you guys to do, please, is roll me a dexterity saving throw. So the saving throws have their own little section next to your ability scores, pretty much right in the center of the first sheet. So you are looking at your dexterity saving throws. If you could roll.
I entered a rage because the Lord pissed me off.
You did enter
and I think that means, so I think I get advantage on my dexterity saving.
Let's have a look.
I'm trying to. Oh, okay, it's right. Okay, I was looking at normal dexterity there.
Okay, no, you're looking for the set. Right, no, Morgan, you get advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. If I'm reading that correctly, yeah, I believe I am. So it's not.
Oh, but okay, I have danger sense. This says I guess it has nothing to do with rage. You have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects that you can see. Yeah.
You can't be blinded. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, danger sense. Yep, perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Good one, thank you. So yes, so you get advantage. So you roll 2 d20s. You take the highest number as your result. Okay, or you roll a d20 twice.
Plus the number next to my saving throws, dexterity.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
That's exactly
cool.
Right.
I just add 20 to the dexterity save then.
Yes, roll your d20, add your dexterity saving modifier to it.
18.
So, okay, so the easiest way to do this, did anyone get an 11 or lower?
No.
9.
No.
Okay. Aiken, were you the only
Not
one?
on a good day of this, yeah.
All right, I need to roll for the king as well. Let me just roll for the king. Hold on 1 second. So you got a 9, all right, no worries. We'll deal with that in just a moment. Where is
The
the
dice are suddenly not in my favour.
king? All right, dexterity saving throw for the king. He gets a. He's got a +1 on his dex saving throw. He's okay. He saves. He gets a 13 in total. So it's just Akin. Just Akin. Okay. So Akin,
I'm going to be the nimblest one here.
you take. Oh, actually, I beg your pardon, my friends. What this means, everyone, is that Akin takes the full damage.
Oh!
Oh no!
Thank you,
Ow.
Aiken. I appreciate that.
He takes so Aiken, you are full blasted by this fireball that engulfs the room. So you take 7 fire damage. I say fire damage just in case anyone has some kind of thing that says you're resistant to fire damage. It's unlikely at this point. Generally,
think so.
generally comes to you for magic items and stuff. The rest of you guys take 3. Even though you saved, your save basically means you take half damage. So you all.
Did I heal up after the fight at the arena? I assume.
Yes, that would be fair. Yeah, you all started with back full health. Yeah, absolutely.
But not after the finger prick.
No,
Not
so I'm down
after
to
finger
17.
prick. That's very true. That's very true. Okay.
Squidgy elf.
Yeah, well, exactly. So the king has taken. What did I
So,
say?
quick
3.
question.
Yeah.
So does it look like if I shoot another fireball, that won't happen again now that I've evaporated all the vapors?
Yeah, that is what you would assume. Yeah, it seems like you've
Okay.
kind of burnt everything off. Okay. Aiken, the other thing that happens to you because you failed the saving throw. At the beginning of your turn, when we get to you, and every subsequent turn that is yours, you take 1 point of damage. So as soon as it's your go, you take 1 point of damage because basically you've got the full blast, so you're still suffering. Okay.
Yeah.
And you repeat the saving throw until you succeed. So we'll keep doing that saving throw, but you're going to take damage all the time until that happens. So Aiken is not in a great way. He's got this full blast of fire in the face, and he is suffering now.
Oops.
Alrighty, but the ochre jelly is now on fire. You can all see it, and it took the full damage from Alvalor's spell there. Nice. Okay, Alvalor, anything else from you before I move on?
Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's done. What's done is done. Okay. All right. Moving on. So next up, we have Morgan, the mountain. Of the mountain.
I'm within, I think it's 5 feet of this thing, right?
Yeah, we're gonna say you're pretty much next to it.
Then I would like to use what are they called? Hand axes, or
Yep.
and use both of them. And I'm going to be trying to aim at like the tentacles. If there's several of them.
Nice. Yeah, there's a few. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, so you're chucking both axes.
Now, I am in a rage.
Okay.
So I would like to do, which one is it? When you reduce, no, it's the one where I can have advantage.
Okay, let's have a look. You have advantage on strength checks and saving throws. When you make a melee weapon attack, which you will be, you gain a +2.
Oh, I keep thinking it has to do with rage, but it doesn't. It's just a reckless attack. It's just
down there, reckless
my
attack.
ability. Yeah, I was going to do a reckless attack.
Yep.
But that means he has advantage on me if he ever attacks me.
Got you, yes. So brilliant. Okay,
Okay.
so you get advantage, but then he has advantage against you on your next turn. Got you.
Okay.
No worries. Excellent. Okay.
Okay, hand axe. So that is a D6. Wait, no, I got to do a 20 to see if I hit.
You've got to do the D20 to hit first with advantage. So
Okay.
You're rolling it twice.
I got a 17.
Perfect. Yeah, you definitely hit it with your axe.
Wait, this says +6 to hit. Does that mean I get 17 plus 6?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's an absolute definite hit.
hit. And a 1d6. Since I have 2 hand axes, is it 1d6 twice, or am I only hitting 1 time?
I mean, technically, you wouldn't be throwing both at the same time because that would be classed as 2 attacks.
Okay.
But time is against us.
I'm
quite happy for that. You are raging as well. So that does add
Yeah.
some extra stuff. So I'm quite happy for you to just throw both your hand axes. That's cool.
Okay.
So we'll just
One
say
is
you've whacked them straight in, so you can roll damage for both.
if I get a 6 and a D6, is that a crit?
No, it just means max damage.
Oh, that's on the 20.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on the 20, exactly, yeah.
I got a 6 and a 5.
Nice, all right.
And the hand axe I think is +4.
Uh,
And because I'm in a rage, I think that's a +2.
Okay,
On a
you do
yeah.
the math. I said math there, not maths, because math is the American
Okay.
version. You do the math,
6,
and then you give me the total number at the end.
12, 11, and 12.
23?
23.
Yeah.
23
23.
damage. Nice.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic attack.
Right.
Yeah,
That is wicked. So this,
impressive.
So this just like slices through these tentacle things. They both just hit the ground and kind of dissolve into like splashy liquid and flash on the floor. The whole thing reacts hugely, like it's been, smashed with a massive hammer. It's kind of roiling around and kind of shrinking and getting bigger. It's taken a lot of damage. It's still upright. It's still a threat to you guys, but that has made a big difference, most definitely. Good work, Morgan.
Boom.
Alrighty. Anything else from you, Morgan, or are you done?
No, I don't think I can do anything else.
Okay.
I do have one quick question.
Sure, Fen.
Are we at level 1 or?
Level
3.
3.
3.
Okay, that changes my. Thank you.
Now, I did tell you that a number of times. I'm not taking the blame for you not knowing that one.
Yeah, that one's on him.
Yeah. I was just like, I'm about to here. Like,
No, you're on level 3. You're on level 3. So most of the numbers will still register without you having to do anything to them. But yeah.
I just saw that at the bottom. I just defaulted to the 10.
Sure. No worries. All right, Morgan, that's you done. We are moving on. So next is Aiken. So Aiken's been slightly slow off the mark. A lot has happened here since he's got his. I mean, he did get a fireball in the face. Now,
That hurt.
now, first thing, Aiken, you take 1 HP of damage right now because you're burning,
Okay.
and you can now make a dexterity saving throw, please.
8 plus 8 plus 5, 13.
Nice. That is a save. That is a save. So you will take no more damage. You have put yourself out. Okay.
Okay, good.
Good one. All right. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, Aiken. So lots of stuff is happening. The last thing you saw was Morgan pull his 2 axes out and just like throw them straight at this great big thing, which has reacted quite badly. It looks like it's on its last legs. What do you want to do?
I mean, I'm a little shook up, but pretty pissed that I took the entire fireball. I've been knocked back a bit by it, so I'm going to stay ranged. I don't want to get too near the flaming ball of goo.
Okay.
So going to use my longbow. I was also just looking down through my extra features. The level 2 archery fighting style, that +2 bonus, is that the one that's already listed as a +2 in my attack section?
Let me just check. Okay, yeah, archery fighting goes +2 bonus to attack rolls when you make with a ranged weapon, and that's why it says at level 2
At level
7.
2.
Yes.
Okay,
So it's already
that's
factored
fine.
in.
So I've got that, but I've also got Colossus Slayer. So if it's not at its maximum hit points, I deal extra damage. I can roll an extra D8. I think.
I see that. Colossus Slayer. Yep. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack. Yep. That works. That works as well.
Cool. So being pretty annoyed at it. Gonna go for a massive attack at it.
Okay. Now, the one thing to consider, Aiken, is your position. Right now, it's very difficult to get a clear shot with a longbow in this room because of all the shelves. So you can certainly do it. You can certainly shoot, get as close as you can, and then shoot through a shelf of wine to it, because that's what it's behind. But in so doing, that shelf will give that monster a certain element of cover, so it will give it an extra +2 to its AC because it classes as cover. So the only way you could negate this, I assume, is if you run straight down to the front, past Alvalor, past Morgan, like literally till you practically hit the wall, and then turn to face this thing, and then basically kind of back into the right-hand corner, and you're shooting across the left-hand corner. Then you get a totally clear shot.
Nice clear shot.
You could probably do that. It's a bit clunky and clumsy, but that's an option.
It's a little bit, but I've got 30 feet of speed, so I should be able to make it. I'm pretty fast on my feet. And you said this thing's kind of on the ropes a little bit now,
Yeah,
so hopefully
yeah.
this would finish it off if it's a good shot.
Yep, certainly would. It's looking a bit dodge.
I think
All
it's probably worth the risk then, yeah.
Okay, so you
So a
whiz
sprint
down.
down the centre, slide. I'll go for like a slide at the
Now,
end. just for
remember
a
all
bit
the
of-
glass on the floor, though.
Oh, okay, maybe no slide. Good point.
You can stay on your feet, but kind of slide crunchy across the glass.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you back off into the right-hand corner and just knock your arrow and let it fly. All right, so all things considered, you just work out what your attack is. Just give me a final number,
Okay, hold on, let me work this out.
because I can't do maths.
So first roll is just for the hit, so
Yeah.
I get 17 plus 5,
Beautiful.
so that's 23,
That's
so
a
that's
definite
fine.
hit.
And then roll a 15 plus 7 is 22. Oh no, hold on,
Hang
that
on.
was wrong.
Is
I
this the
rolled the
damage
d20.
now?
Sorry, yeah, no, I'm
That's
rolling
okay.
a d8, aren't
No worries.
I? So
It's all right. Don't
that
worry.
rolled
This is where it gets crunchy maths.
6. Yeah, no, that's fine. So that was a 6 plus 7. So 13. And I can roll another d8 with my Colossus, which rolls a full 8 plus the 7, so 15. So 13 and 15,
That's insane.
28.
28 damage.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I
guess
told you I was
what?
pissed off with this fireball in the face.
Yeah, you totally were. You totally were. This thing, it hasn't got a hope in hell. It had 4 hit points left, this thing. So you've absolutely killed it 20 million times over. So your arrow goes into this thing and it basically explodes in sticky, fermented, alcoholic, evil, magically imbued wine. It kind of rains down on Morgan and Alvalor and Fen, covers you all in this red, sticky wine. But this thing is finished. And it didn't have a hope. I mean, it was last in the initiative order. You all got there much quicker and you all got your hits in. So good work. So this thing just like crashes to the floor in this big horrible puddle of wine, basically. And where you're standing, Aiken, you've kind of pushed yourself up against the wall as you were shooting your arrow at this thing. You feel the wall kind of give way behind your back, just slightly, just by a few inches. So you kind of go, okay, there's some kind of something there. There's some kind of entrance or exit.
Was a worthwhile move.
Okay, guys. So technically we're out of combat now. So we're back to kind of free-flowing stuff. Is there anything you guys want to do now that the combat has finished? The room has been burnt.
I want to see if there's any bottles that have magically sustained no damage from the fire.
You certainly can. So you sort of just start picking your way through. And actually, a number of the bottles have survived because it wasn't really, it wasn't an explosion with shrapnel. It was just a fireball. So it kind of whizzed through and then extinguished itself pretty quickly.
Sure.
Fine.
Sorry, say again, Fen?
Sealed ones would be fine then. Only the ones that were open with fumes out would be.
Exactly. So there are a number of bottles, and actually, Lord Marlin, who is very, very shaken up by this entire thing. I mean, he took some damage as well. His robes got burnt, and he got some burns on his arms as well. So he starts feeling a bit sorry for himself. He kind of comes forward and identifies some of these bottles as being particularly valuable, Alvalor. So, I mean, we're talking like, so there are about 7 or 8 bottles that are worth about 75 gold pieces each, which is not bad. However, as you sort of go to reach for these, Alvalor, the king kind of says that some of these bottles do belong to him.
I thought you said we could take whatever we wanted.
Yes, of course. Treasures. I mean, this is drink. Really, rather than treasure.
Anything we found past that door I crashed into is ours.
Game.
Yeah.
He looks from face to face and realizes he's in a very weak position, especially staring at Mr. of the Mountain, and he says, of course, yes, you must have these bottles. Take these bottles, of course." And he's like shoving them into your backpacks and things.
I'd
I'll
like to
take a
investigate.
couple.
I'd like
I
to
look-
investigate. Sorry.
Bottles, they have healing properties for us.
These right, so these ones do not have healing properties. No, they are beautiful wine, but unfortunately they're not going to repair you at this moment in time. Ben.
I'm gonna go ahead and start putting in the 5 finest looking bottles
Okay, shoving
in
those
my
into your
bag.
bag. Okay.
Yep,
Bottle?
5.
You took all 5?
I thought there was.
there are
thought there's more.
7 in total. 7 of
Yeah,
the
just
super
5.
expensive ones. 5 have been gone already.
I'll grab one.
Oh, Aiken has stepped straight in and got one, which means there's just one left on the shelf now.
I grab it.
And Fenn's taking it. Morgan's like,
I don't care.
Morgan,
While they're doing
The
that,
leader of the mountain is not fussed about wine. He just wants
no,
ale.
he just wants ale.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm more curious about retaining the arrows for my comrades, right? Like I'm more, I guess, battle oriented, and I want to see if I can check the goo for the arrows.
That's a great idea. Okay, yeah. So you get in there and you can find this stuff. You can pull this stuff out. The goo wasn't particularly acidic, so it hasn't actually kind of degraded them or anything. I mean, they're pretty mucky, but yeah, you can retrieve the arrows. That's fine.
Yeah, then I just give them back to who they belong
Aiken.
To me.
Nice.
Cool. Back
to. And I don't really say anything either. I'm just like,
There we go.
there you go.
Cool and collected.
I'll keep track of how many I shoot now.
Nice. Okay.
Learning things.
All right. So had Aiken not got into that corner and found that door as easily as he did, you would all be struggling to find your way out of this room. But where he pushed that is the only exit at the moment. Is there anything else anyone wants to do in here before we move on?
Did we find any magical sealed bottles or no?
No. So it seems that they were in that corner. And that is what kind of created whatever the heck that thing was. It was all this magical wine that had spewed out over the years.
Okay.
So no.
When it exploded, did any get in my mouth?
No. They exploded before you even got in the room. They were like, they've been smashed.
Well, I mean,
for a while.
when you showed us arrow, you
when
said
I
it like
exploded
blew
the
up.
monster. Yeah.
Oh, the thing that blew up. Sure. No, none would have got in your mouth. Even if it had, it probably wouldn't have had any effect. It's a good question. It's always worth asking these things because sometimes
I was just gonna roll to see if I liked it. You know?
Sometimes you can put an idea in the DM's head and then they're like, oh, actually, that's not bad. But not this time. No, not this time. Okay, we guys ready to move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
How we doing?
Yeah.
We got an hour and a quarter.
Is there any weapons from previous encounters in the room?
No, there's no weapons at all. There's no sign of any fighting or anything that's happened in here before, Fem. No, this was simply a wine cellar with some weird magical goo in it. Okay, guys. So this stone door has kind of pushed back and swung open behind where Aiken was. And the king now is slightly more shaken up than he was before. He's lost his sense of adventure now that he's encountered this thing and he's been burnt in the process. So he's kind of shuffling along a little bit forlornly, almost reluctant to carry on. But he does when he sees you guys kind of just packing your stuff and moving on. So you guys head through this stone door, and it is actually quite a short corridor and you don't have any other choices at this point. This seems to be like one singular route through these rooms. You haven't yet reached a crossroads. You haven't reached any other options. You come straight out into another room, and this room that you walk into could not be any more different than the room you've just come from. So this, guys, you walk into this circular room, and there is a sunken pool in the middle of this room. There are bronze statues of nude men and nude women that are standing all the way around on the walls, not in the pool, but around the walls, and they're all gesturing towards the pool sunk in the middle of this room. The water is actually still swirling in this bath, but it's tainted with dark red streaks. and those streaks are being added to this pool of water. This dark red liquid is flowing from small grooves in the floor. And you guys takes no intelligence just to follow those grooves along the floor up to this stone slab that sits on top of the floor at one side of the room. And there's a very unsettling sight in here, gentlemen. There are piles of very small skulls all over the place, just various piles standing here and there.
Human skulls?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking like baby skulls if they're small, or
Yeah, definitely children. Probably not as small as
Ooh,
babies, but it
babies.
looks like children's skulls around the place.
That's disturbing.
Not very nice. And yeah, the whole room has a really unpleasant feel to it. It just feels like a place of evil.
What's in the pool? And like, is it just clean pool or is it?
Yeah, so it looks like crystal clear, swirling blue water, but with these red.
It is moving.
Yeah, it is kind of just like bubbling, almost like a jacuzzi or something, just bubbling around. I just need to. Okay, hold on 1 second, because I'm going to. Right. Akin.
Yes.
Akin, when you enter this room, you feel kind of assaulted by a presence. There is something that's kind of picking at your mind in this room. So I would like you, please, to roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Saving throw is 16.
16. Nice.
16,
so
yeah.
you kind of, you don't know what's going on, but you steel yourself against this bombardment in your brain. You couldn't really even explain it to someone, but you kind of you put your defenses up, and this presence, this thing that's trying to kind of get into your mind, it kind of pushes away. You realize you've kind of beaten it. You've put whatever the heck it was. It's kind of gone.
Good.
But it moves on. This thing is not stopping. It moves on to Fenrir. So this all happens very quickly. Fenrir, you're not aware of what's going on with Akin, but you start to feel this horrible pressing on your brain. So I would like a saving throw from you, please. A wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving?
Yes, please.
16.
Nice. So you steel yourself as well. Perfect. So this thing moves on further. This is like this relentless thing that's just trying, and it just goes. It's just trying to get into people's minds, and if they resist, it just goes on to the next person. Morgan.
Oh god.
Morgan, it's coming to you. Wisdom saving throw, please.
That's a D20, right?
D20, yeah, plus your wisdom saving throw modifier. No?
3.
Okay, in total.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty.
Bad times.
So it's gone for the dumb orc, hasn't it? No offense. No offense.
Oh shit.
So this thing, this is a curse, Morgan, and it gets into your brain and it gets its talons into your brain. So you are now cursed. That is your sort of official position.
Oh
And
snap.
the curse, the trait that you would describe it as your curse is, I eternally hear the crying of children.
Ugh.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It's pretty unpleasant.
Like just 24/7. I
Yeah.
hear the crying of children.
Yeah, it just never ever stops. Never stops. So you know that if you are ever to get rid of this curse, this room has to be kind of, like religiously cleansed or sanctified. You think that's probably the only way that you're going to shove this thing off? If it can't be, then this curse is stuck with you for forever, really.
All right.
So that's something just to sit with for a while. Always nice. Now, by this point, the king is once more flipping through his book, his lovely book that tells him all the facts. And he says, I think I have something. Now, The look of the statues and the age of this room dates this chamber to the reign of Winona White Sparrow, roughly 300 years ago, give or take. Known, it says here, for her long-lasting beauty and her love of children. She is
Oh.
said to have adopted dozens of orphans in her time. Ha. Though it does say there were some rumors suggested that many of those children never left the keep. She obviously liked to keep them close. But obviously he is a very maternal person, so that is good, I suppose. He says, eyeing the skulls kind of warily. Okay, guys, what do you want to do? So there's nothing in here in terms of like a threat. There's no creatures that are trying to attack you or anything.
Do I know that the crying of the children is like in my head, or I assume everyone can hear it?
It's a very good question. You would assume everyone can hear it. There's nothing to let you know that this is just for you.
So I probably would say something,
Yeah.
but I don't. I'd say something like, I guess, why are all these children screaming out loud to everyone?
What are you
Where are
talking
these? I was like, you hear all these children? They're screaming everywhere.
about? We just
And
hear the wall.
I'm just looking through all the skulls. I'm just trying to find like where the children are coming from.
What are you talking about?
I just keep looking for children.
So to the rest of you guys, Morgan's kind of he's just kind of frantically sort of looking around, like maybe even knocking over piles of skulls and things. He's just, something's not quite right here.
I think something's not okay with him.
Yeah. Did anyone else feel that weird presence when we first walked into the room? Like something
Yeah.
attacking
No.
us?
I didn't feel a thing.
Headache, but it passed pretty quick.
Yeah. Wonder whether our dumb orc friend was less able to save himself.
I pick up one of the skulls, hold it up to Morgan, and ask if this is what's crying.
Oh, nice.
Can I sense it's coming from the skulls, or it's in my head?
No, it doesn't seem to be coming from the skulls per se.
No.
It's just in your head, yeah.
I hear children crying from like all around us. I don't see them. I need a drink.
Ooh.
I start trying to get another drink from my barrel.
Start chugging stuff down.
Yeah.
And I take the skull that I picked up and I throw it into the swirling water.
Okay. So this child's skull kind of just splashes into the water and just kind of gets taken up by the current. It doesn't really have an effect, but it just starts kind of moving around and around with the whirlpool of this water.
It doesn't go down or anything, it just stays doing circles.
Yeah, just kind of floating around, bobbing around in and out.
Okay. Weird.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to do here?
Can I go investigate the slab that has the trails going into the pool from?
Sure, yeah. Could you roll me a perception check, please?
Yep. 13.
Sorry, how much?
13.
13. Nice. Okay. So you look all around this stone slab, which does have some noticeable unpleasant red stains on the top of it, as you may expect. You find actually at the bottom of the slab, kind of where the legs meet the floor,
Okay.
you find some kind of tool. You sort of bring it out into the light, and you see that it is a curved and serrated jeweled dagger with a hook at its tip. This, I mean, if you're just looking at it in terms of treasure, it's probably worth maybe 50 or 60 gold pieces.
Okay. Well, I'll at least want to hold on to it.
Yeah, you can certainly stash it in your stuff. I mean,
Does it have any place to go on that slab?
no, it doesn't have like a little inlet or anything. No. No, it's just a tool that has been used for who knows what.
Yeah. All of us.
Yeah.
Anything else around that area though?
No, you have a look around that slab. There's nothing else to be found there. It's just the dagger.
Right, I pocket it.
Okay. At this point, the king starts exclaiming excitedly that he's found more information. He's found He's found some extra sections of his book that have been handwritten in. He says, whether it is my chamberlain, I do not recognize his writing, but something has been added here about Winona White Sparrow, the queen. Let me read. It says here, Winona's successor was her adopted daughter, Clarissa White Sparrow, who became lord after her mother died peacefully at 120 years of age. But what few know, and he seems quite excited that he's discovered this, but his smile soon starts to fade. But what few know is that Lady Winona secretly sacrificed children in this chamber, then bathed in their blood to maintain her youth and beauty. When Clarissa learned this, she murdered her mother and locked this chamber forever. And then
I suggest we swiftly move out of this
it
chamber.
slowly closes the book and sort of looks quite crestfallen.
Yeah. Swiftly moving towards whatever exit I can see.
Was there any other exit besides the one we came in?
So this is the weird thing. There isn't.
Oh.
There's no
Completely.
there's no other exit. So either this is the end of the tour, or maybe there's another path that you've missed, or you just wasn't easy to see.
I'm gonna have a look round for some sort of lever. I wonder if we can drain the pool.
I'm gonna touch
way
the
down.
water.
Okay, so sorry, Aiken, you're looking around for a lever. Sorry, who just said what was the next bit?
I'm gonna touch the water.
Okay, you're gonna touch the water. Okay, all right. So Aiken, you have a good look around this room, and I'm not going to get you to roll because there is nothing to find. There are no levers. There's no special stuff. Morgan, you go and like dip your hand in the water, sort of trying to avoid the small skull that's kind of bobbing around there.
Yeah,
The water's ice cold, very, very chilly, very cold water, but it doesn't
freezing.
have any sort of effect on you.
Then I would like to splash it on my face,
Okay.
like a just because I hear the children, and I just am seeing, I don't know, baptism type thing, whatever. I'm just
Okay.
just
Yeah.
trying to, see if that does anything.
So Morgan reaches in and just splashes this ice cold water on his face, which, I mean, it has the effect of just waking you up slightly. It doesn't stop the crying, and for all of those who are watching you do this, obviously this water is kind of slightly tainted with, we assume, blood, and some of that kind of just gets kind of dripped on your face as well. So sort of looking wildly, hoping this is going to take an effect, but it doesn't. It doesn't have an effect, Morgan, unfortunately.
Okay.
All the statues.
Okay, you going to look at all the statues? Sure. So they're beautiful statues, Fenrir. I mean, very well made nude men and women, bronze in very good condition. You can give them a very good inspection, Fen, but nothing to find there. They are what they are. No levers, no secret stuff.
All right.
An unpleasant place that should probably be sealed up again.
Yeah.
What if it's in the hole? What if we leave through the bottom of the water?
Wouldn't the skull have gone down that hole?
Maybe it's buoyant.
Well, there's something that needs to open the hole. That's why I was looking for a lever. Could be it's sealed at the moment.
But the water's spinning, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like
not,
a water-
not like super fast, but yeah, it's kind of swirling around and it is moving.
There's probably a hole in there somewhere.
Can I just jump in
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
with my hands on the side to make sure I can feel the bottom before I just jump all the way in?
Sure. Okay. So you just like cannonball.
I'm already tainted. Let's just go in.
Just cannonball. This thing
One dive.
crashes up over your face. Nice. Okay, so it's not that deep. It's like the depth of a bath, shall we say? So your feet hit the bottom quite easily, and you do sort of feel something give way underneath your feet. I mean, it's pretty solid. You're gonna have to put some strength into this, but you feel something give, like some crunching or some plaster or something, as you're kind of crashing down into that.
Okay. How about I find the statue that looks easiest to like break off from the legs, and we try to shove that into the bottom of the
Yeah,
pool.
you could probably move the whole thing over because remember they're bronze statues, so they're basically just stood on the floor. They're not attached to it
Okay.
or
Yeah.
anything.
Okay.
Cool.
Then
Okay.
Don't
So,
you have an axe?
pardon?
I
Sorry, Fen.
what?
You have an axe, don't you? Like,
I do have an axe. I guess I could do that, but it is my most prized possession. I would be a little
Little worried
worrisome
about mucking it
to
up.
just using my axe.
prize possession of someone in swirling blood pool is really saying much.
Yeah, I mean, you
I'm gonna
guys.
keep the axe strapped to my back.
Some
Yeah,
of you
I'd
guys
rather.
may be worrying slightly about Morgan now because he's talking about children. He's now just cannonballed into this death pool. He's now wading out and is grappling one of these bronze statues and kind of noisily dragging it across the floor to get it into the pool. What are the rest of you guys doing? Is anyone helping him? Are you just standing back?
I'm definitely concerned in just watching this happen.
Okay.
Oh man.
How about you, Aiken?
I look quizzically at him, trying to figure out what's going on, and yeah, basically ask Morgan. Morgan, what's up? You okay? What's going on?
So I'd say I try to grab not the biggest statue, not the smallest statue, but a rather shot, and I grab it, and I look at him, and I just ask him, and as calmly as collective as I can, will you help me?
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a hand. Not quite sure what the plan is, but yeah, let's go for it.
And then I'll just say straight in the middle as I try to pick it up to throw the statue in the middle of the pool.
All right.
Nice.
Lift it up. We give it a throw.
All
Do
right.
it.
So you guys drag this thing. Now you guys are all working together. Like there's no in D&D, if there's a time limit, if there's a risk, then we would start rolling dice to see if you do it first time. But since there's no time limit, there's nothing to stop you trying this over and over again. So there's no point getting you all to roll stuff. So you guys, just drag it to the pool and just like chuck it in. It's pretty heavy. It's bronze, so this thing like crashes straight down to the floor. You hear crunching and you hear the sucking of water, and the pool just immediately empties. The little skull kind of just goes straight down and then gets stuck on the bottom. And once the water was cleared, you can see that it was kind of like a plastered over sort of drainage thing. It looked like it was a drain at some point, and it had been sort of crudely covered up to make it more of a pool. But the statue has just sort of crashed through and pushed the grate down. So it might be possible to get through there. You'd need to get the statue out of the way first. But there's no water left now. It's all gone.
Okay. Is there anything else now the water's all gone? Is there anything on the floor that we can see of the pool?
No treasure, no shining doodads, no nothing.
Down the hole?
At the moment, you can't see down there because the statue's kind of in the hole, pretty much.
Okay. Probably best we'll lift the
purpose
statue out
spells.
then, I guess.
Drag the thing out, back onto
Yeah.
the side, out of the way.
I don't even help with getting the statue out.
No.
No, I'm not.
He's done his job. Threw it in.
So Aiken's like struggling on his own, maybe, just trying to pull this thing out.
Yeah, I could do it with a hand, guys.
You guys, you look down into the hole and you see there is a very rusted metal ladder leading down this kind of tunnel that drops straight down. All the walls, like the inside walls of where this ladder is, and the hinges and everything where the drainage is, it's all dyed red. It's like thick red.
Nice.
Yeah, really lovely.
I'm guessing I won't be able to carry the barrel on my back through this hole, so I'll have to
No, you
use
have
the
to
rope.
take it off.
Yeah, well, I think I'd lower it first, and then crawl down the ladder. And if it's obviously I can't reach the bottom, then I'm just kind of one arm ladder, one arm holding my barrel.
Okay.
Well, how dodgy is this ladder? Is it properly sketchy?
It seems quite solid. Like when you climb onto it, it's not like crunching or moving in its brackets or anything. It's just super rusted. So it's not at the moment. It's not showing signs of going.
I hope not. I got one arm on it.
Got one arm, and you are probably, especially with that barrel, You're probably the heaviest member of this crew by far.
Yeah. If it holds me, man, we're good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Going down, we just full sending this, or
Yeah,
I think so, right?
Yeah, we're just heading straight down there.
I'm just assuming. I'm just going with
You're
it.
just
Unless you
going
guys, I'm using your guys' intelligence for my decisions. I'm just gonna go with it until you guys kind of question me openly. I'm like, oh, does this look like a bad idea?
I prefer chaos, so let's do that.
Morgan.
I'm chaotic neutral, so.
Same.
Morgan, since you are just basically cracking on with wild abandon, I just want to check how you're going down this ladder, because as I said, it is pretty rusty. It's not showing signs of struggle at the moment. But you've got one hand, you've got a barrel up over. What is it like over your head, or are you holding it below you? Sorry, what did you say?
I imagine that I am holding on with the rope that I tied around it, and instead of having it over my back, I'm just kind of holding both straps that would be around my arms in one hand, and it's below me, maybe between my legs, as I then with the other hand try to balance myself with, both legs are on, obviously, and then I just kind of go hand under like that as I go down.
So what I want you to do, Morgan, is I want you to roll me a strength check.
Easy.
The reason being, I want to see how you are managing to hold yourself and maneuver this by going down. However, the trouble is you are cursed, so you have children crying in your head. This is nothing you do now is going to be, easy. So you're going to be rolling a strength check with disadvantage, please.
Oh shit, disadvantage.
So 2 d20s and then take the lowest for your strength check. And your strength is +3.
It says +5 on the saving throw, or is it not a saving throw?
This is not a saving throw. No, this is just a straight strength check. So on your ability skills on the left-hand side, so just a +3.
It's 14.
14, and that's with disadvantage, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's good. Okay, you are strong enough. Yeah, you're good. So this thing, like the barrel's hanging, and you're okay, but your head is pounding, but you manage to solidly just move solidly and carefully down this ladder without mucking anything up. So you guys make it to the bottom of this ladder, and you find yourselves in another very wet, very damp corridor that is running 2 different ways. So the ladder is basically coming down in the middle of this corridor, and you can go one way or you can go the other. You have a choice. Both ways are dark. There's no clue as to what way you should go.
Flip a coin? Shall we? Or should we split up? That usually works out well in D&D.
Yeah, it always works out really well, doesn't it?
That sounds terrible.
I mean, you could do
We could play spin the bottle. Just spin that bottle and let's see what direction we go.
Down either of these corridors? Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, Fen, I'm so sorry I keep asking you. It's just really weird. When you speak, it's always like the first 1 or 2 words I can't hear, and then I hear you. So I always just miss what you're saying. I'm really sorry.
Can you hear me now, though?
I think maybe it's when it's just clipping when someone else was just finishing speaking or something, maybe. It's just a weird thing. Go on.
Oh, you probably have priority speaker on.
Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I can turn that off. Do you think that's what it is?
I can check with it.
Yeah, I'll turn that off then if that's the deal.
I don't know. It's the same for me. It's always like the first word is silent, and then
let me.
It might be a delay on the mic too, or something. I know that's an option, but I don't know.
Could be.
Whoa! What happened?
Everyone's big. Everyone's small again.
Everyone's small again.
We lost Fed.
No, I'm back. Hold on. How's that working? Is this any better?
It seems okay.
It's good so far. We'll have to wait and see when we're talking in. Okay, so
are both corridors completely dark?
Yeah, there's no clue as to what is different in either of them. They're totally dark.
Okay. I mean, if we're free to do anything, can I wrap some arrows with some cloth, dip it in the alcohol from the bottles, light them on fire, and shoot one each way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. That'll make a nice little scene in our movie. Okay, so yeah, Fen doesn't mention any of this to anyone. It's just bang, he's into action. Rap, dip, light. Suddenly, light fills the corridor, and then all of a sudden, it's like doof, doof, flaming arrows go down one way, down another way. Nice. Okay, so this certainly gives you some information about what may be ahead. Um, you can see a little bit further down both now. Down one way, you can see that the corridor opens up into a large circular, it looks like circular room. You can't see much about what's in it, but you can see from the size of it, through, you know, what's the arrow is kind of lighting up, that there is a circular wall at the other side of it. So there's a large circular room at one side. Down the other side, there is definitely water. You can definitely see the light of the burning arrow stuck in the floor down that corridor is just glinting off. It looks like quite a large expanse of water beyond. That's all you're getting though with what you've done there.
Well, I feel like a bunch of treasure isn't going to be hidden in a puddle of water, so I
Yeah,
would suggest we
we'll
go
go
to
the other
the
way. I don't want to go
circular
down the
room.
water route.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for circular room.
Okay.
Yeah, circular room. Let's go.
No worries.
Agreed.
All right. You guys head towards the circular room in single file. As you do so, it becomes lighter. You actually see that this room does have its own light source, although you couldn't see it from where you were at all. But it's actually violet, this room, because there are torches burning all the way around with a violet flame. So they're illuminating this dark, round chamber. On the floor, there is a large circle drawn in dark red powdered chalk. Kind of covers the center of this room. It looks like one sort of great big symbol. It's like a circle with an A in it, really, a kind of crude A drawn. And round its edges, there are carefully sort of scribed glyphs. They're almost like drawn in the sand all the way around the edge of this massive circle. Outside the circle, there are 6 skeletons. They're arrayed on the floor in rotted royal garb, and their hands are clasped on their chests. At the center of the circle sits a female figure with feathery wings. She raises her head and smiles when she sees you enter the room.
It's not a statue. It's like a person.
She's a person. Yeah, she looks up
Okay.
and smiles at you and speaks. And her voice is very lovely. It's quite ethereal. It has a kind of unusual quality to it. And she says, "At last, after 200 years, I have visitors. Please, welcome, welcome." She's sort of beckoning you into the room.
I'd like to kneel down and ask her to make the children's voices stop.
Nice.
Yourself.
Yeah.
That is a great question to ask, actually, Morgan.
I'm driving mild. I'm going mild over here.
Yeah.
Wild.
We're back.
Going wild. Yeah, no worries, Fen. She looks down at you now. Actually, can I just ascertain? So, Morgan, are you staying outside of this great big chalk circle that she sits within, or have you actually walked into it?
Whew, it depends on the size of the room and the circle. I wouldn't deliberately step in the circle if there was enough room for me not to.
Sure. Yeah, there is enough room for you to stay outside.
Then I would probably stop and kneel and maybe not even look at her, because I don't really care about anything but getting the children's voices to stop.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't want to disrespect her because I don't know if that's religious or not.
Sure.
But I'll just kind of kneel down and ask her, because she seems to me at this point to be some sort of deity or demon, and I don't care which one.
Yeah.
But I want to, if she can help me, I want to ask her for her help. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So you just kneel down and say, "Please, help me to take this curse off." Okay.
Yeah.
So she looks down, and a look of pity kind of falls across her face. And let me just tell you very quickly what she looks like. She's very beautiful. She has got armor covering every inch of her body, golden and green and emerald armor. She looks like some kind of like godly warrior, perhaps. She has horns, but they're not from her head. That's actually part of her armor, but she does have these immense wings that are definitely part of her body. Sitting next to her, she has an incredible looking longsword and a bow kind of strapped to her back. I mean, you would not mess with this woman. She is a battle-hardened female warrior of some description, although you're not entirely sure what. She looks down at you with a look of pity, and she says to you, you are afflicted. This I can tell. She says, I will gladly help you, and I can remove your curse if you were to free me from this circle where I have been resident for 200 years. And then she stops talking.
Well, we're down here looking for a crown. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, so I missed like half that. We're trying to free her from the circle.
Well,
She wants us to.
Yeah, she says she's gonna help Morgan if you release her from this circle.
with his baby voices or children voices.
Can I ask if she's the one who put the voices there?
She says, of which voices do you speak?
The children from the other room. I'm just gonna go off on assumption there.
She says, she sort of closes her eyes around and she says, I remember the screams of children some time ago, but they have been silent for many years. I did not put those screams in this one's head. She like indicates to Morgan.
I ask her why she's been imprisoned in the circle. Not that I'm expecting to get her.
She smiles and you can tell Aiken that she's actually really quite pleased to be asked, because if it is true that she's been here for this long, she hasn't been conversing with anyone. She says, my friend, to you, Aiken. She says, let me introduce myself. My name is Rays, and I was the former advisor to Queen Rachel Whitesparrow. Cue the king now flipping through his book very, very quickly. I served her for over 70 years. Over that time, Rachel would sit at the desk in this chamber, and she points to a small desk that has always been there. Talking to me and taking notes, she would. I greatly enjoyed the partnership, but unfortunately for me, only Rachel knew about my presence here, and when she died, I was forgotten. And so I have been here ever since. The imprisonment, as you call it, was simply a way to keep me safe in this chamber, so I could be of use to a former queen.
What does it take to free you from this prison?
She says, all you must do is disturb the chalk circle, and then I would be taken home to my home on the 4th layer of the 9 hells.
I tell everyone not to do it because she cannot help me.
Be taken home where? I'm sorry, could you repeat that part? I must have misheard that.
Yeah, my home is on Ferrathon, the 4th layer of the 9 hells.
Oh, so you're like a demon or something like that.
Yeah, some use this word disparagingly, but I can be of great help to anyone. I have excellent knowledge. Why is it that you are here? And at this point, of course, the king kicks off. Yeah, Mrs. Demon, I am King Marlin Whitesparrow. Rachel must have been one of my great grandmothers. I am of that line. Rays smiles and says, well, I could be an advisor to you, your majesty. If you were to free me, I could travel with you freely and advise you until the day you die. Is that something you would like? The king seems quite excited about this.
I got another idea, Mr. King. You could just leave her here, and she can't leave, and she can advise you just as she did your grandmother, great-great-grandmother.
Yeah, I'd say this demon can't help get the voices out of my head. She can't help us. We shall leave her alone.
There is.
Is this desk within the circle?
No, the desk is outside the circle.
Okay.
When you
I'm gonna go rush through the desk.
okay, and I will answer that. When you mention out loud about leaving her here, those of you who are looking at Raze, you can see this flash of evil anger. She's just like this is her one chance, and she just can't believe this. And as you walk away, Alvalor, was it you that mentioned about leaving her here?
No, that was
No,
not me.
it was Morgan.
That was Morgan. Morgan mentions this, so there's a flash of anger towards Morgan, and she says to you in the most kind of horrific, torturous voice. Her whole kind of demeanor changes. She says, if you leave me here, I will make sure those children's voices will torment you for the rest of your life, and all your friends too. And she's kind of straining her neck, kind of, like really quite aggressively.
Didn't you say you couldn't help with that?
She
Or were
says,
you lying?
she says, I cannot help remove your curse, but
Oh,
perhaps I could, and you can see she's kind of floundering a bit. Perhaps I could help find information to remove the curse, or
oh, so you have information. Oh, so you also have information on how to make it worse, or are you just making this all up?
I would like to start praying to the orc god Groomsh
okay,
for help.
that's cool. All right, we'll deal with that in a moment. We'll come back to that. Alvalor, you are heading over to the desk. Sadly,
Yes.
there is nothing to discover. This is a very, very empty desk. It doesn't even have drawers. It's basically a table and a chair. But unfortunately, no, there is nothing. There is nothing actually to find there.
Interesting.
Okay, Morgan. I don't know whether this is something that Morgan of the Mountain has done in the past. Is he a praying type to his god?
Whenever does most orcs praise the orc god Groomsh, because that's like the beginning of all orcs, and they I don't know, but his religion unfortunately is -1, so I imagine he's probably not very religious.
Okay, all right,
But that's
sure. Okay, we'll
Found a reason to be religious.
roll me a religious check, please, or a religion check.
all right. Is that a D20 too with
D20,
a
yep.
-1?
With a
D20 -1. Here we go.
Yep.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's a 2. So there we go.
No.
And voices are really messing with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
trying to pray. He's trying to pray, but all he can hear are those voices, and he's just not being able to do it. Not at all. So Raze can see this opportunity slipping through her fingers, so she turns her attention on the weakest member of the party, which is the king. She stands up, being very careful not to get close to the circle. She lays her weapons down on the floor, and she says, "Your Majesty, if you free me from this prison, I promise to bind myself to you for 100 years. Think of the knowledge and power. Think how great a king you will be with me at your side." And the king is just he's completely won over by this. He just thinks this is a great idea. My own advisor, who has advised some of my ancestors. I mean, this is better than the crown we are looking for, is it not?
All right, hold on. Let's go through your book and see what it says about this.
Yeah.
All right, so they go through. Looking for Queen Rachel White Sparrow. There we go. So Queen Rachel does have a little entry. It says about how she was basically known as the clever queen. She had an enormous amount of knowledge, which helped her. She was quite a wise queen, and she was quite sensible in the decisions she made. That's kind of all it says. Nothing is mentioned about some devil or demon down in the basement that she spoke to.
Damn it.
Now, don't forget also.
I'm gonna cast sleep on the king.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
We can
Solid
do
That's
plan.
that. Absolutely. So he's getting super excited. Now I think let me just
I don't trust him.
let me just bring up sleep as well, because I think let's have just look. Basically, here we go. Okay. Hit points of creatures this spell can affect. Oh, that's fine. Okay.
I assume he does.
It's just
Points.
it's a minute, isn't it? Okay. Starting the creature. Oh, that's fine. Yep. Okay. So yeah. So you cast that, and the king just goes. He starts to fall towards the circle.
Grab him.
Okay.
Use my quick
Someone
elf
left.
reaction
Yeah.
just to grab him.
Straight in
Lunge
there,
towards him.
Yeah.
grab him, and like drag him back before he's into the circle.
Yeah.
The
We need to tie him up before he awakens.
Yeah, you can certainly do that.
Yeah.
The demon, the devil, whatever it is, just like hisses and spits at you. She, in a rage, so quickly, she picks up her bow, and before you've realised what's happened, she has loosed an arrow at who grabbed the king. It was you, Aiken, yeah.
Yeah.
So this arrow, which is
Maybe a
like
bad decision.
this arrow comes shooting out.
I didn't realise she could shoot out the circle. I assumed the circle would
Well-
protect us.
Well, the arrow comes shooting towards you, Aiken, and then is deflected
Oh.
as it hits that circle.
That's
And then
right.
she is just there, like right up against it, with her wings kind of flapping, realizing that she's probably lost her chance here.
Well, you have a good night. We're gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna drag the king.
Yeah, let's just time up first. I've got 50 feet of rope in my bag.
Yeah. Let's wrap
will,
this dude up. We can't trust
we
him the rest of the
do
way.
some of that. We can pop him on the chair on the desk,
Yeah.
the chair by the desk,
Okay.
and we'll tie him to
Whoa. I don't want to leave him in this room. We got to get him
that.
out
Oh,
of here.
okay. Well, yeah, good point. We'll take it.
All right, so you'll tie him up, bind his hands and his feet,
Yeah.
enough that
Yep.
you can kind of drag him with you.
Yep.
Well, I was going to say, Morgan, would you mind lobbing him over your shoulder since you've got the strength?
I mean, I still got this barrel, but
Well, you can just drag him. We don't need
Yeah.
him to be like.
yeah, that's
the-
true.
Drag
I'm
Drag
gonna.
work.
The
Yes.
barrel is more important to me.
You can drag him.
I'll
I do
drag
disagree.
him.
Um,
Yeah, easy.
During all of this, I grabbed the book to check the information we've been given by the
Okay.
king on this.
Good call. Good call.
Sure, good call. Okay, so you are going through and you find the entry for Queen Rachel that he had sort of very quickly found. Fen, you just kind of flick over the page, and once more it seems there's some annotations, there's some added little bits in
Okay.
this hastily written handwriting, and it talks of Ray's, someone that knew her, or at least someone that knows about her. She is a fiend, from where she said, the fourth layer of the nine hells, and she was indeed an advisor to the queen for many years. She was held here, bound here by this circle to be an advisor, but she seemed reasonably happy about it. She quite enjoyed the relationship. The notes tell of various assassins over the years that had tried to kill Rachel, but they were caught, and each of them was brought to Ray's over the years so that their souls could be devoured by her as payment for her services to the queen.
There's
Wow.
skeletons lying around the edge.
Do I share this info with anyone, or am I just kind of reading this?
Up to you.
Up to you, Fen. Up to
Okay,
you.
yeah, I'm not sharing
Not
this.
sharing that at all. So you're just reading it with a slightly sort of quizzical eyebrow, and indeed, it does indeed mention 6 assassins over the years, and there are 6 skeletons in this chamber.
Okay.
Okay. so-
Shall we go a different direction?
I guess to the water?
Or
That's-
do we have to
that's
go
kind
back?
of- the water is really your only way, or back the way you've come. Yeah,
Or we could release the demon. I guess that's still an option.
that is still an option.
Feel like we've pissed her off already, and that would be a bad move now.
I don't think it was ever a good move.
I mean, it probably wasn't, but we stood more of a chance when we were being nice to her. Now I think she's pretty pissed.
Yeah, and I don't want to, strength check a soul-eating demon.
No.
All right, let's head the other direction.
Yeah.
Dragging the king. He'll wake up not too long. I think it'll
So-
last a minute.
Yeah.
So as you guys move
Okay.
out, go on, Fen.
As they leave, I go back and I ask her to prove she won't betray me if I release her.
God.
Oh.
And
Ouch,
do we do a
ouch,
perception
ouch.
check to see if we know that he just left the party?
Okay, so if we wanted to really check, so Fen, I would need you to. Okay, right. Firstly, who? What I need to know then, because you guys are filing out single file, I'll need to know the person who's at the back, who's closest to Fen when he decides to go.
I would
think
assume that I would be in the back carrying a barrel and dragging the
And the
king.
king.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Fair.
Dow.
Fair.
Okay, so Dow, you roll me a perception check, please, contested by Fen, rolling me a stealth check.
Check my character sheet.
Give me Morgan. If he's dragging the king in the back.
Okay.
Perception, is that just at the bottom?
Yeah, I just roll a 20 and then add it to. Oh, it's just a skill check, right?
It is a skill check for stealth, and perception
For
is
me.
right hand side of the first page in your
Okay.
skill checks box.
So 17 plus 7.
Oh, Jesus.
Whoa.
24.
24.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
I got a 16, so not looking
Okay.
good on our side.
All right, so Fenrir very, very carefully breaks away from the party, heads back into the room as you guys are heading to the water room, and says, "What?" Asks her to prove she won't betray him. You, Fen, yeah?
Just me.
She looks at you with piercing gold eyes, Fen, and she doesn't actually answer your question. She kind of asks another one. She just looks at you and she says, "Why would you set me free?"
I seek power.
She says, "You are looking for an advisor?"
Yes.
She says, if you set me free, if you break this circle, I can advise you. 100 years is my starting offer."
What is the cost on my side?
She says, "Having been in here for 200 years, the thought of being by your side wherever you go on this earth is enough to breathe the fresh air again, to go about as I please, but to advise you as well. That is all I seek. My incarceration has made me restless."
Why did your last advisee keep you bound in here?
"Because she knew how valuable I was. She did not want me to leave and go back to my homeland."
But you also expressed will to go back to your homeland, so how do I know you're not just going to do that if I release you?
She says, "I said that I would go straight home in the hope that you would release me, thinking it was safe. But if you rather I stay by your side, here with you, then I am more than happy also. Just to be out of this circle is all I want."
What could you advise me on?
She says, "Everything."
Sounds like a good deal.
That's the problem. All right.
What's your nature?
What?
Or what's your alignment?
Lawful evil.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
That yeah.
That's fair.
What does it mean you'll be bound to me? Will others know you are there if I don't want them to?
She says, "I can make myself unseen, but if we make a bond, it means that I cannot break it. I will be with you for 100 years, but I will need to be near you. I cannot travel far from you, but I can hide and be unseen should you wish it."
Okay. I'll do it.
She says, "Then this is what you must do.
Well, man.
Disturb the circle with your foot, with your hand. Just move the chalk. Once I am free of this circle, we can sit at that desk and agree the bonds.
But, oh God.
Okay, I disturbed the circle with my foot.
Oh my God.
So a puff of red chalk is just kind of pushed inwards,
Oh God.
and suddenly this pristine chalk circle is broken. And Ray's starts to look even more beautiful than ever. She starts to glow gold. Her face kind of radiates. She takes one or two tentative steps towards the edge of the circle, and then very, very carefully she just unfolds her wings and she steps out. And she's almost, you can see she's almost flinching, just waiting for something bad to happen. And then it doesn't. And she stands up and she kind of flaps her wings. She's got her weapons by her side. And she looks down at you, Fenrir, and she said, "You made the right decision." And
Oh
then
no.
she starts, the glowing gets brighter and brighter and brighter until Fenrir, you're just like,
I'm assuming we see brightness coming
Yeah,
from
About
behind
to say,
us.
do we notice
yeah,
this
but
bright
now,
glow
guys,
now?
yeah,
We all
absolutely.
slowly turn around.
You slowly turn around and you see this woman with wings glowing brightly, and Fenrir just kind of standing there. You can see she's come out of the circle. You can see it must have been Fenrir. Like, there's no other real solution to this. And it gets so bright, Fen, you can almost feel burning. It's like the sun is in that room, and then suddenly it starts to dim. It starts to dim. And then it's back to normal light, and she is not there. She's gone.
Ooh.
Shit.
At which point, some of your colleagues kind of run back into the room.
Where's the demon?
Yeah, what the fuck is going on?
Let's kill him.
Damn it.
What the hell did you do?
I disturbed the chalk on accident. I was trying to take one of her weapons.
Oh, I want to. Yeah, I don't believe that for a
I don't
second.
believe him.
No.
All right. Okay, guys. Right. So, Fen, could you roll me a deception check, please?
Deception?
Roll like
Yeah.
a nat 20.
And the rest of you guys, those of you that immediately go, no, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, no.
You can roll insight, please.
16 plus 4, so 20.
Oh,
Okay. So he's got a
Damn
20.
it.
So anyone who's suspicious, roll an insight for me. Let me know. What
17 for me.
Okay.
18 for me.
Okay.
9.
Oh, I don't know how he's done this, but the way he says it, maybe there's some residual power from the fiend that's just still in the room or something. But you guys kind of believe him. Alvalor, you're so close to going, shut up, you're talking rubbish. But actually, he does it. He deceives you guys. He's a rogue. His charisma is high. He somehow manages to. I mean, I'm not saying you guys are like totally won over. Oh, this guy's obviously a great guy. He's always going to tell the truth. It's not that obvious. But at this moment in time, you kind of go, oh, maybe he was trying to get the weapon. Okay, he's a rogue. He's a thief.
Where'd she go?
I don't know.
Did you say anything?
No.
Well, that's probably bad for us.
Yeah.
I'd like to collect some of the chalk.
Sure, yeah. You can, like,
Okay,
some
well,
of the
while
rest
he's
of them.
doing that, I'm going to go check that table that I was told to go to.
Sure, yeah, the desk, yeah. So Alval already looked at the desk, but you can head straight over there. It's a very simple chair and table. It's not even really a desk. But no, there's nothing on there. There's nothing that you can find. It's very simple.
Okay.
Is her bow of any upgrade to me? Is it worth me grabbing her bow, or is it the same as my standard longbow?
She
I think she took it with her.
She took her weapons with her, I'm
Oh,
afraid.
she took weapons with her.
She did
Ah,
indeed.
dang.
She did.
Is there anything in the circle other than the bodies?
No, so the bodies are on the outside of the circle. In the circle is just her. It's just the chair she was sat on.
Can we investigate the bodies, or are they just skeletons?
Yeah, so they're skeletons, and they're I mean they're quite nicely dressed. They were in some sort of royal garb. It looks like, but it's kind of rotted away. Um, but uh, but no,
Any
there's sorry, who was investigating the skeletons? Is
Morgan?
this Morgan? Okay, Morgan, right. Morgan, could you roll me a okay, are you standing there kind of surveying them and looking at them like this, or are you kind of going in and pulling off arms and that kind of stuff?
Well, if I if they were wearing like clothes, I would investigate them very closely, all of them.
Okay, could you roll me an
Yeah,
investigation check, please?
yeah. If I can find it.
Quickly grab a drink.
Yep, no worries.
Okay. Is it eight? 8. That's not that great.
8 in total. Okay. Um,
Yeah,
it's basically just rotted bones and rotted clothes.
great.
Is all you find. Kind of, you wreck a couple of them in the process. You're a bit too heavy-handed, kind of break some bones and stuff. But yeah, there's nothing for you to find there.
I think I'd really be looking for a necklace, something I could just kind of wear as a momentum.
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah. Well, there could certainly be something. I mean, it'd probably be quite old and rusted, but they might be some trinkets around their neck. Absolutely, or some
Yeah, if it looked
bracelets.
cool, I
You
would
can
like
take
it. I don't.
something like a
Yeah.
rusted old chain with like a silvered
Yeah.
tooth or something on the end of it. Yeah, you could do that. You could take that.
Cool. Okay.
Okay,
I'm happy.
cool.
Sorry, did I miss anything there? Did you find anything on the skeletons?
No, he did not roll a great investigation check. He was a bit too heavy-handed and ended up smashing a couple of them. But
Well,
he's taken like a little rusted old necklace.
I suggest we continue onward then. If the demon's
Yeah.
gone, hopefully she went where she said she was going and doesn't appear later.
Hopefully, yeah. If there's nothing on the desk, nothing on the skeletons, yeah, let's move on to the water room.
Okay, guys. All right, so you carry on. So with the king is probably going to be awake by now. It was only 1 minute that he would be asleep,
Yep.
Okay.
but he's tied up. Did you?
We can release him now that the demon's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, slightly backtracking, I'm not sure whether we would have had much time. If we only had a minute of him asleep, we probably didn't actually have time to time up, really, did we?
We
Oh,
probably
no,
got it started.
Yeah, you would. I think it's okay.
We would have done it
We'll do
immediately, right in front of the
Right.
demon. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Did you gag him as well, or is he just?
No, I don't think we gagged him.
We wouldn't care about what he said. Yeah. I don't think.
So suddenly you just hear coming from the darkness as you trudge along this tunnel. What is going on? Why am I tied? Why have I been tied?
You were going to make a deal with a demon.
Yeah, couldn't let that happen. Sorry, King.
But the demon was a servant to my family for many years. I just wanted it to continue.
Well, it somehow escaped, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
Is she
it's gone
still
now, I'm
down
afraid.
here somewhere?
I hope not.
Well, to set me free, please, at least.
Yeah, we can do that.
I just dropped
Yeah,
him.
we can set him free.
All right. So you cut his ropes off, and he's kind of up, slightly worse for wear, and now kind of thinking this whole thing was perhaps a bad idea, but let's press on. Okay, so you guys have made it down to what looks like the final place, because as you come down into this next chamber, there's no obvious way out of here that you can see unless it's secret. So you have come into a really large natural chamber. There is a waterfall high up on the chamber wall. So this water is flowing down and is forming a moat that surrounds a little island in the middle, and on that island is a mausoleum, a tomb that's big enough, with stone doors. You could actually walk inside it. So there's a stone door that stands closed at the front of the structure, and on that stone door, you can see from where you are, it's carved with the form of an elderly, sort of brooding man. And there are tall, sort of cracked statues standing around the mausoleum, each one representing knights who once protected the first Lord of White Sparrow. So this has got to be the place. The king is super excited about this. This is the resting place of the first king. This has got to be where the crown is. I mean, it's obvious. This is it.
Investigation checks around, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll start investigating the area.
I mean,
Okay.
wait, but is it just a big open cave? Like,
Yeah, so basically, yeah, a big open tavern. The mausoleum stands in the center, so it has a little moat around it, but the
Do we
cavern is quite big.
have to jump over, or are we going to need to find something to make a bridge out of?
And no, you could like wade through it in like 2 or 3 steps.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not massive. It's not like a massive river or anything.
Sounds good.
So yeah, so you guys just start sort of looking around the place. The stone statues that are around, the stone statues actually kind of round the outside of the cavern. They're not by the mausoleum. So you've got the big cavern, the stone statues, then the little moat and the mausoleum in the center. There's nothing really to find here. There's no secrets. There's no nothing. You've just got this very kind of deadly silence mausoleum. This is a place of rest. It seems pretty quiet here.
That's good. I guess
Can
you
I-
take a wade across to the.
Can I get into the mausoleum?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the 2 stone doors stand closed. They look very, very heavy indeed, actually, because they're proper stone. And as I said, they're carved with the form of this elderly, brooding man. So it's like half of the man is on each door. So as the doors close, it makes the proper thing. So some of you guys are going to head across. Are you all heading across, or is it just 1 or 2 of you have gone ahead?
I'm going to go.
I'll go in.
I'll stay back.
Okay, so all right. So Alvalor is hanging back a little bit, but the rest of you, how about you, Morgan?
I'll follow these 2. I'll be just behind them.
Sure. Okay. All right. So you guys make your way over to the mausoleum and head to the kind of the front where these big doors are standing. There's a couple of little stumpy trees and stuff. As you may expect, as you get over there, flowing out from between these doors is this black, shadowy figure. Obviously, some sort of ghost, some kind of incorporeal thing just kind of floats up out of these double doors. So the doors are still closed. It's almost like it's squeezed between the gaps. It just floats up and kind of comes to a rest right in front of you guys. The menace you feel from this thing is quite strong. You know that this thing means you evil, and most of you instinctively reach for your weapons straight away. So we're into combat again, people. This thing is attacking whether you like it or not. So if you could roll initiatives for me.
That a D20.
D20 plus your initiative modifier.
16.
Okay, if you could just hold the numbers to yourself for a moment.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't worry.
Hold the numbers? Okay.
Yep, not yet. Just wait until I ask for it, please, guys. Okay.
I didn't quite get what we're fighting. What was it?
So this
The
is
ghost thing.
yeah, it's like a black figure, like a ghostly floating thing. Think like the Dementors, Harry Potter, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Chocolate.
Okay, hold on a second.
Initiative, is there? Okay.
All right, Akin, what's your initiative, please?
16.
16. Alrighty. Morgan.
9.
9.
Bad rolls tonight.
Yeah, the dice aren't with you. It happens sometimes. Alvalor, what's your initiative?
7.
7.
Ooh.
Nice. Fenrir.
15.
Okay. 15. And this thing that we are looking at, let me just roll for him. Dex is +2. Okay, so I'll roll for him. So in total, he gets a 14. 14, and his HP is 22. Alrighty, so this means that Akin is up first. So we've got Alvalor, who has hung back. So Alvalor has not crossed the moat to the front of the mausoleum, but the rest of you guys have. Now, one thing that you can often try and do in D&D, and I'm just kind of pointing this out at the moment, Aiken, for you especially, whenever you see these things appear, you can often ask, what do I know about this? Have I seen this thing before? Or have I seen something like it?
Okay.
And there are ways, there are certain roles we can do to see if you know anything about it. So, I'm happy if you want to try that now, Aiken, and I've just kind of forced that on
Yeah.
you. Um,
No, that sounds good.
so
I might like to move back a little bit first, if that's all right.
you can just kind of come back a little bit away from this thing. I mean,
Yeah.
this thing is definitely undead. There is no question of that. So if we want to roll something to see if you have any knowledge of this or any prior knowledge, I would suggest either Arcana or Religion. I don't know if either one of those is good for you.
Both 0.
Both 0. You can give it a go, and this is a kind of freebie for the first person in battle. If any of you other guys wanted to do this on your turn, this would cost an action. You wouldn't be able to do anything else, so there's a bit of a
Okay.
payoff there. But this is just to kind of first
Let's see
one in.
what I get. 7.
7. Okay, this is some kind of weird ghosty thing. That's about as much as you know, Aiken. Okay, that's it. But it is kind of floating around, and it looks like you could walk through it if you wanted to. You can see through it. Okay, what do you want to do?
This is a good question. Let me see if I've got anything. No good.
Is everyone still okay for time? This is our last part of the adventure. So if we have this battle, we're probably talking 15 minutes or so, maybe, depending on how it goes.
Yeah, I'm good for time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's only 7 p.m. for me. I could be up for another 5 hours if you
Yeah,
want.
of course you are. Of course you are.
Yeah, let's not like 5
No,
hours.
I'm fine. So my initial thought is going to be that since this is some ghostly thing, my normal weapons are not going to do a huge amount to it. So I'm actually going to do the slightly I don't know, stereotypical thing. I'm going to wave my torch at it and try and get it to back off with some fire.
Oh, okay.
I feel like trying to swipe at it with a sword is not going to do much.
Cool.
We'll see whether some light.
Always worth a try. This kind of stuff. Okay, cool. All right, so you sort of grab your torch and you just sort of like take a step forward and just kind of wave this thing. Are you trying to actually sort of touch it or just wave it around in front of it?
To start with, wave around, and then if it doesn't back off, then go in for actually trying to get it with the torch.
Okay.
So it depends on its reaction.
Cool. All right, so nice. So stepping forward and waving this thing around in its face does nothing. It looks like it's just waiting to pounce on you. I mean, it has no reaction at all. So do you therefore just want to kind of try and shove it?
Yeah, I'll try and stab it with the flamey torch.
Sure. Okay. So roll me an attack. Let's just we'll just for ease, we'll just pretend it's your. You've got a short sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that just roll the numbers for that, but we know you're not actually using your sword. So if you just roll the attack for that.
So 20. No, sorry. That was for the hit, but you're saying I'm guaranteed to hit.
No. I'm saying if you roll the d20 and then the plus to hit, because we're rolling to see if you actually get this thing.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the 20 on the d20 plus
fine.
5, 25.
Got you. Sorry, misunderstood.
That's fine.
Nice. Okay, so you just ram this torch into this creature. There is some resistance. I mean, it starts to go through, but there is some resistance. And there is some flame that kind of comes out, but you can see that the flame is very, very quickly extinguished. So damage is done, but it's almost like the fire is extinguished quicker than it should have been normally. So this tells you that, as far as you know, this thing is resistant to fire damage. Okay, it's not immune. It takes fire damage, but it takes half of whatever you deal to it.
Hopefully.
So I'm going to say, could you just roll me a d6, please? Just a straight d6, nothing else.
1.
1, okay, fine. So it doesn't actually take any damage from this fire, because it wasn't going to do much anyway. But yeah, you've learnt that it's resistant to fire, basically.
Useful knowledge.
Useful knowledge. Okay. Anything else from you?
I think at that point if I've got enough left in my turn, is to leap back over the moat to the other side.
You can do that. Now, this brings us to a problem, Aiken, that we have not encountered before. If you are in a creature's space and you leap out of that space without taking due precaution, then they get what's called an opportunity attack on you. It's like a free attack. Now, the only way to leave the creature's space legally without them being able to do that is to actually use an action called disengage.
Right.
So what this means is if you want to move out of their space, you can do, but they will attack you and you risk them hitting you, or you have to stay put.
Okay. I will stay put then for now.
Okay, no problem. Alrighty, okay, so Aiken is done, which means we are moving on to Fenrir. Fenrir, you are up next. You now know that this thing is resistant to fire. It's not going to take a lot of fire damage.
Oh. I'm gonna take a step back and hit it with the short bow.
Okay, no problem. Roll an attack for me.
Shit. 3.
Okay, unfortunately the arrow goes wide.
Great.
So that's good.
My next.
Do you wanna move anywhere else, Fen, at this point in time, or are you good?
Can I leave?
Yeah. So
Like go back out of the mausoleum?
yes. So right now you guys are standing outside the front of the mausoleum. I think Aiken was kind of right up in its face. I'm going to say, Fen, that you were like a step or two away anyway. So if you
Like to be on the other side of the moat at least.
yeah, so if you want to head back over the motorway, you can do that without risking opportunity attack. All right, so you're heading back. Okay, no worries. You're doing that. Okay, next up is the Spectre, and then it's you, Morgan.
Okay.
So the Spectre is what this thing is. And Aiken, you are right in front of it. So you are going to be the obvious choice for this thing to come in.
Maybe I should have tried to run away.
So this floats towards you, and it kind of tries to do the Dementor thing. It tries to kind of suck the life out of you, kind of puts its cold hands around you and just like tries to kind of suck the soul, the life out of you. So it is going to roll an attack against your AC, which will be in total a 17.
14.
Okay, so that gets you. So it. A second. Okay, all right. I'll do this. And here. Okay, all right. So you take 5 necrotic damage from this attack.
Okay.
So if you just mark 5 off your total HP.
Yep.
The rest of you guys can see this. You can see this kind of weird, horrible death kiss going on as Aiken's soul is being sucked out. But Aiken, I also need you to roll me a Constitution saving throw. So you are rolling against longer term effects now from this attack.
Okay.
Now it's not a particularly difficult saving throw, so fingers crossed you might do okay.
Well, I nailed it with the 20 plus 1, so 21.
Genius. Okay, excellent. Perfect. Okay, so you are all good. Nothing else happens at this point in time. But this thing is just, I mean, you're not down on the floor, but you're sort of, bending backwards as this thing is just draining you of life at the moment. And it is going to stay there. It's got no reason to move at the moment, so that's where it's staying. All right, moving on. Morgan, you are up.
Okay. I'd like to enter a rage.
Of course, why not?
Of course. Why not? Yeah. And reckless attack that gives me advantage, but advantage on me as well.
Yep. Okay.
And I would like. How far away am I from? Am I
Are you?
melee distance or range?
Are you? Did you cross the moat to the mausoleum or not?
Well, I stayed behind the first two, so if there was enough room for me,
Yeah.
then I would. Yeah.
So you're about maybe 5, 10 foot away from it, I guess, at the moment.
Okay, then I think this might work. So I'm gonna take the dust or chalk,
Yep.
and I'm gonna dip my javelin in it, so that it's
Nice.
on the tip of my javelin.
Very nice.
And I'm gonna throw the javelin now at this undead.
I like it. I like it very much. Okay, so
Okay.
roll me a javelin attack, please.
So first I had to do a 20 to see if it hits.
That's right. D20 plus your 2-hit modifier for your javelin.
All right, it is a dirty 21.
Beautiful. Okay, that definitely hits. Hits the spectre right in the chest.
Okay, and then
Now you roll your damage.
the
for
damage
javelin.
is a d6
Okay.
plus 5. So that is
11. Oh, no, sorry, you didn't roll.
no,
You didn't roll a
I
6,
got a
did you?
5
Sorry.
plus 5. It should be 10,
10.
but I see something that says plus 3 piercing damage. I don't know what that means. If that's
Okay.
that's a range attack, so I add plus 3 piercing damage. If that
Javelin. So, yeah, so it's 1d6 plus 3 is the damage that a javelin does. But were you adding extra stuff because of your rage and things, or reckless attack?
Actually, no, I forgot. I get advantage, but I got a 5. Let me roll again. No, the 5 is better.
Right, hold on. Okay. It's okay. So you are in a rage, aren't you?
Yes, so I should get it.
Okay.
Oh wait,
So
I think the advantage is only on strength.
The advantage, yeah. So we've got two things going on here. So we've got your rage and you've got reckless attack.
Mm-hmm.
So reckless attack, that gives you advantage on the attack, which is fine. We're done with that because you hit the thing anyway, so that's fine.
Okay.
The rage, the thing right now is that it's going to give you a +2 bonus to damage rolls. So if we then go back to your javelin is 1d6 plus 3.
And I got a 5.
We're going to
on
call
that
it.
D6.
We're going to okay, but we'll call it +5 because it's the +2. So it will be 10 damage in total.
Okay.
All right.
And nothing about +3 piercing damage?
No, so that's included. So
okay.
It's okay. So you get +3 piercing damage is standard. You get your +2 because of your rage. So in total, that makes that +5, and then you roll your d6. So
Got it.
Yeah. So in total,
And that's
it's
a
going to
5.
be 10.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So 10 damage with the javelin. Now, Morgan has been very, very clever here. And I'm going to let you know this because we're getting to the end of the session anyway. But basically, spectres, undead, all these things often are resistant to many different forms of attack, especially ones that are non-magical. So if any of your weapons are non-magical, which, let's face it, is all of them at the moment, it's going to be very resistant to the damage it does. However, Morgan has doused or covered his javelin in this what must have been very magical chalk powder and made it magical. So that is pretty clever. So that means the spectre takes the full 10 damage without anything being taken off of that. And this thing screams and squeals as the javelin goes straight through and out the other side, but you can tell that it's done a lot of damage because it has like a bright white hole in the center of its blackness where the javelin has gone through, and it looks like white fire right in the center of its chest. So that has done full damage. It's still going, but it's hurt.
Okay.
All right, Morgan. Nice work. Anything else from you before we move on?
If I'm within melee range, I'd like to also enter a frenzy and get a bonus melee attack.
Okay, hold on one second.
Which I think is 5 feet.
Okay, hold on. Frenzy when you can go to a frenzy when you rage. So you can, if you for the duration of the rage, you can make a single melee weapon attack as a bonus action on each of your turns after this one. No problem. Okay, so that's a single melee attack as a bonus. Yep, go for it.
Sweet. Do I need to roll another d20? Yeah.
Yes, this is a standard attack.
Okay. And it's a +5 to that d20.
Yes, if that what yeah, it depending on what
Right.
weapon you're using, that's what will give you the
The
plus.
great axe.
Yeah, great axe, standard melee.
So I rolled
Yep.
a 12. That's a 17.
So 17 to hit. Beg your pardon.
Yes.
That is a hit. So
Sweet.
you will roll a 1d12 plus. Now, do you still get the extra? Or is you getting it from the base? Yes, you should get the +2 bonus to damage as well. So you are rolling a 1d12 and then you are adding 5 to that number.
8.
8 in total.
Yes.
Okay, so this will be slashing damage, but of course this is non-magical. So this means that it is resistant to this. So it won't take 8, it will take 4. Takes half the damage. Still something, and that has done a lot of damage to it in total, Morgan. So that's all very good stuff.
Boom.
Alrighty, okay. So we move on to the bottom of the round, which is Alvalor. Alvalor, who's back over the moat. You're further back, aren't you, Alvalor?
Yep. So I'm going to shoot a chromatic orb.
Ooh.
I am not choosing fire, as I've just seen the fire not work.
Yeah, got you.
So, all right, good attack roll.
I'm just going to bring up that the spell as well, so I can at least have it in front of me. Hold on one moment.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is this is a 4-inch diameter sphere of energy. You choose acid, cold, fire, lightning, blah, 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 blah. Then make a ranged spell attack. If the attack hits, creature takes or other type you choose. Fantastic. Okay, I'm sorry. So what did you choose? So you're not choosing fire.
I'll choose acid. Let's go with that.
Acid, cool. Okay.
Usually a good type.
So so roll a spell attack.
So I got a 16. What do I add to that?
It will be your so you should have a section for ranged spell attack. You should have an actual number for that. I'm just gonna have a look on your sheet as well. Okay, it's on your third sheet. It's on your spell sheet at the top. Range spell attack bonus +5.
Okay, so that would be a 21.
So that is a definite hit.
Okay, and then the damage, I think we're D.
We are 3d8. 3d8 dice.
So 8. 8.
Nice.
8. Triple 8'd. Oh my god.
Seriously,
Wow.
you got 3 8s.
3 8s in a row.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever had that.
Wow. Okay.
Damn.
That
You
is
need to play
amazing.
snakes.
I could like have a dice cam because that was sweet,
I'd go buy a lottery ticket tomorrow.
right?
Amazing. So that is 24 acid damage. Okay. So this thing, this little acidic orb shoots out across the moat into this spectre, straight into that white fiery hole that Morgan had made, and it's like spitting out acid. Now this thing is resistant to acid.
Oh, damn.
But there's plus and minuses here. So minuses, so it's only going to take half the damage, but you got 24 damage, so it's still taking 12 damage. So if it takes 12 damage,
Nice.
it takes it way below its hit point total.
Okay.
So this thing is basically burns up from the inside in a kind of fiery ball of white flame. And what happens is it doesn't just disappear though. When this thing kind of disapparates, I'm using Harry Potter terms as well now. As it kind of disintegrates and all the blackness kind of is destroyed, it's kind of the dark shreds kind of they shred away to nothing. It leaves in its place a kind of pale, confused, benign apparition. This elderly, pale man, and the king recognizes him immediately from all the portraits in the castle as the first king, called King Lavendus, and this is his
Lovely.
crypt. And he recognizes Marlin. Now, of course, they've never met. They were alive 300 years apart, whatever it was. But he recognizes Marlin as his own blood. And he asks Marlin to tell me, how does our family fare? Do we reign a large kingdom It has been so long. So he starts to get all his marbles back. He's slightly disappointed to hear that actually it's basically a small town that the king now rules. And, the family has been through some stuff. It's not quite as good. But the king is very happy to help, and he says that he will always be in this mausoleum if Marlin, the king, wants to come down and visit. And Marlin brings up the question of the crown. And the king waves his ghostly hand and opens the doors of the mausoleum. They kind of swing open inside. And there is a ghostly light inside there. And all you guys, as you look inside, you can see that there is a sarcophagus. And on top of that sarcophagus is the crown of the First Lord. And Lavendus is very happy for Marlin to take it. So he kind of motions him in. And you see, you kind of hang back, maybe just trying to be a bit respectful as the king goes in, the present living king, and takes that crown and kind of puts him on its head. He comes back out, and Lavendus kind of turns around to all of you guys and basically thanks you for bringing the new king safely down to my mausoleum. You are his guards forevermore, and so you must be rewarded. And so he brings out of the mausoleum a magical version of each of your favorite weapons. It's like he knows. So there is a great axe, there is a bow for Aiken. There is, what would Fenrir want as a weapon? A better bow or a short sword?
Probably a super powerful dagger, since I'm pretty stealthy.
A dagger, of course. And maybe for you, Avalor, either a weapon or maybe a new spell casting focus that is more powerful, perhaps, than the one you've got. Something like that.
Yeah, probably like a staff, maybe. I don't know.
Staff, yeah, staff would work. So your weapons, so you basically you are upgraded. Your weapons would become magical, and in terms of mechanical sense, they would all become +1 weapons. So you would add a +1 to your attack roll and your damage rolls for all your weapons, and they would be classed as magical. So if you were fighting a spectre, for example, they'd be doing the full damage the whole time. He also brings out a beautiful necklace. It's a jeweled necklace worth about 100 gold pieces. And he says, "This was given to me by a secret lover I had when I was younger and more virile. It is of no use to me, but it could be worth something to one of you. But who is worthy of such a gift?" And he then sort of looks from one to the other to each of you, kind of looking deep into your souls. He spends a long time looking into Fenrir's soul, but decides ultimately that you do not deserve a special jeweled necklace this time, Fenrir. But out of the other 3 adventurers that we have,
I killed the ghost, so
I only require you to help me remove these children's voices.
of course.
Still screaming, aren't they?
That will cut. He will help you with that. He, out of the other people, sorry, I was just rolling some dice. I was doing some random stuff. He turns to Aiken and says, "Aiken," he seems to know your name. "You were the most untried of all warriors before coming down here, but you today have proved yourself. Have my lover's necklace. Do with it what you will." So he hands it to you, Aiken. It could well have It could well have magical properties, but that's something you would have to go away and check in your own time. And he turns to you, Morgan, and says, "You have suffered. You have suffered because of one of my ancestors, and it will be with you forevermore unless I remove it, which I shall do for you, Morgan of the Mountain." He puts 2 ghostly, cold hands on your head, Morgan, and then just whips them away as fast as he is able. The sound in your head stops. You have peace inside. The sound kind of coagulates into a ball. It's like a visual thing in his hand, which he just sends away across the moat. It just kind of disappears into the darkness. He welcomes all of you to come back at any time for help. Marlin himself is most excited with his crown, but he actually seems quite humbled by this entire journey. It's taught him quite a lot about his family that he didn't know. And now that he's met the first king, who seems to be quite gracious, Marlin seems to be somewhat of a changed man on his way, on his journey back up to the keep. He is so happy with everything that has happened and that he has opened up the tunnels under the keep for him to use forevermore, that he decides to stay true to his offer of the silver as well. So you each take home a chest of 300 silver pieces. And if we were to conclude, if we were to carry on, if this is a campaign, then obviously that money can become very useful, where you can buy all sorts of things with it. So you are classed as heroes of White Sparrow. You have your silver, you have your renown. Some of you may choose to stay here, but your names are well known. It is the start of an excellent adventuring career, and you are also granted free ale in the tavern for about a week as well, so you can have quite a nice party. So with that, my friends, we will conclude our adventure.
That's fun.
Past midnight.
Hey.
Thank you
That's
very much.
great.
You guys were great, actually. Genuinely, I thought you were a really good team, and you all kind of got right into the fun of it. And Phil, well done, considering you've never played D&D.
Yeah,
before.
you did great for your first time,
No
man.
one would know.
Thanks, guys.
No one
I
would
wasn't
know.
sure how I could like use this story to go into lawful evil, so I tried, but
But it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
great. You know, that really brought in a really good moment there, where we didn't know how things were going to go.
And it actually worked out. Like if we hadn't have
Yeah.
had the chalk from the floor, if Morgan hadn't grabbed that after you broke the circle, then
Yeah,
would have been a harder fight at the end.
I didn't know
I
if that
knew-
was going to be anything. You know.
That was really clever. That was really good. That worked well. That worked.
I
Really
knew
well.
the fire would do something in that room, but I wanted to see what happened.
Yeah.
See, I was
Yeah.
that's why I grabbed the bottles. I was like, I'm gonna use fire on this thing, but then
Yeah. If I was earlier, I was going to do basically what Fended in the corridor. I was going to try and set a light to an arrow and fire that, but yeah, it would have been toasted a little bit by that point.
It's one of the great things of D&D is how creative you can get, and it's always lovely playing with new players when you kind of see them realise that, oh, hold on, so I can kind of do anything within reason. There's a way to do it. It's exciting. Cool.
Yeah.
I was excited. I was excited to use the chalk. I was like, hey,
Yeah, that was
hoping
good.
I was gonna have like a demon advisor, but that's fine.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
And you know, Fen, if this was the start of a campaign, maybe Rays would come back at some point looking for you. You never know. You never know.
Should have signed that demon paperwork before you let her out. That's the key there.
That's what you got to do. All right,
Learning for
gentlemen,
next time.
I'm pleased you enjoyed it. It was an absolute blast.
was really
Thank you
good fun.
very much for
Really,
spending
really
the
good
evening
fun.
with me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot for
Yeah, it
putting
was
this
awesome.
together.
So I'll
Glad
Yeah,
we could all
yeah.
get together.
Yeah, I'm pleased we managed it in the end, and I will put that video on YouTube if anyone else wants to watch it, and kind of put a link in the Discord as per normal. If everyone is happy with that, me putting a video on
Yeah.
Discord.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
awesome. See
All
me
right, my
eating
friends.
half the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with all your popcorn. Good.
Yeah.
All right, my friends. Good night. Have a
See you,
good
everybody.
weekend.
It's fun.
Yeah, guys.
Be in
Thanks,
touch.
guys.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.